Live from beautiful downtown Bastrop, it's time for the Stage Select, starring Julian Titus and Justin Ham.
What could this possibly be? Seems a lot like a podcast. Wonder what specifically. Talking about video games. With your hosts, you're in good hands. Not more of the same. Now we'll jump right in. So expect the unexpected and more. Now we'll get grooving. There we go, who's gonna walk through the door? There just might be some treasure in this chest. Having fun with a special guest. Time for Stage Select.
With special guest,
Brock Wilbur.
and here are your hosts, Julian Titus and Justin Ham.
Welcome, one and all, to the Stage Select. I'm Julian Titus.
I'm Justin Ham. I'm also here.
Yes, and we are a video game variety show, and we are joined by a very special guest, Brock Wilbur.
Special. Yeah, we'll call it that. We can run with that.
Yeah.
Okay, look, we've been mutuals on Twitter for like a very long time. And I'm not sure how we found each other because you have a massive Twitter following compared to the people that I run with. It's kind of crazy. And I'm like, okay, well, this dude's like a person, with people that interact with him.
Some people are people. What are you going to do? You know?
Look, sometimes I find people that are just correct about everything, and then they get the forever follow. You're right about more than you're wrong about. So here we are.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And that was the thing, right? It's I've always loved our interactions, and your tweets are always very funny. And I would say that you're a very well-rounded geek. You can kind of speak to a bunch of different things, right? And so you're kind of dipping into all sorts of different places. And I always appreciate a well-rounded geek.
Well, thank you. I'm gonna take that compliment to the bank.
Yeah. I had wanted to have you on our old show, Nerds Without Pants, but the timing was never right. And then once we started to decide okay, this show is circling the drain, we should probably move into something else. I was I'll just save that for the new thing. That makes more sense.
Thank you for not welcoming me to the sinking ship. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you for valuing my time.
You're very welcome.
Absolutely.
Anytime. That's how we roll here.
As somebody with multiple 300, 400 plus podcasts in my past, who let things go way too long, salute. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what's up. You know the game. So yeah, you are our second new guest as far as new to our little section of the internet and stuff like that. So wanted to take this opening bit to just kind of get to know you as a person and a gamer, right? What are some of your early gaming memories, the ones that really kind of stuck out in your thoughts, and what kind of kept you going? What was that thing that propelled it from this is the thing that I play as a kid to, oh no, I am going to keep playing video games, for the foreseeable future, just and still keep up on top of it.
I some of my earliest memories around gaming had an NES, and that was fine, but actual gaming was probably that my dad had a PC at his office, and I would go there nights and weekends when people were out of the office, and I would play old Sierra adventure games, Space Quest and things like that, and I was always just this is amazing. I played the Star Trek point-and-click adventures with my grandfather, who was a huge Star Trek fan, and had fond memories of calling the 1-900 tip numbers to try to get our way through those puzzles. And then my grandmother being furious that 1-900 billing numbers were on the phone bill, and we had to be no, it's Star Trek stuff. It's not sex calls, me and Grandpa. It's somehow worse. It's Star Trek video games. Just always had games in my life. I think gamer phase probably took off my freshman year of college when my roommate modded an Xbox, and then we just got every single GameFly game and made copies of it. And then when I suddenly had access to every single game, I was like, right, I will play everything now because it does not cost me $60 a pop. And that's when I got to find like a real depth of field and things, and was like, oh, okay, here's the roots growing of a lot of stuff. Did a lot of work in Los Angeles in and around games. Always had a soft spot for anyone around like Double Fine, anyone that's trying to do really interesting, cool stuff. Couple years back, me and my co-writer Nathan Rabin did a book for the Boss Fight book series on the game Postal, and the movie Postal, and sort of looking at that. Just recently filmed some footage for a Postal documentary that some other guys are doing that sort of builds up to the release of Postal 4, and then ends abruptly, as that one has to do. Did a couple of different podcasts about Silent Hill. I have a book out with co-writer Whitney called Our Special Place, which we just went back and played all the Silent Hill games. She's got the Guinness Book of World Records record for most Silent Hill merch in a private collection. So like,
oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
I came into it as the somewhat curmudgeonly, like, this isn't very fun, and it's kind of stupid, but I still like it. And she's like, I have 1,000 props from that game, and I'm like, from this PSP title, like, that's crazy. That's really impressive. But she does constant, like, 24-hour streams for kids' charity stuff, and all the money from the book goes to that. So a transcription of us talking for 200 hours about Silent Hill, donating that all to somebody else is the only reason that we could sit down to do that. But also pandemic projects. We had nothing but time, and why not? Right. So I do that, and I'm a journalist out of Kansas City. I'm the editor-in-chief of our local alt paper. And that's Brock Wilbur. That's who I am. So glad to be on the show today to talk about good things and bad things being good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
We're happy to have you.
I had no idea there was that much Silent Hill merch. Like, I never felt like it got like that Resident Evil level of support for that type of stuff. Like,
in
there's
other
a shit ton of Resident Evil merch I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, and I'm right there with you with the Sierra stuff. That was my PC stuff, was the Sierra adventure games. I didn't experience any of the Lucas stuff other than Full Throttle. I think was the only like Lucas games one that I played.
Yeah, I'm like doing Maniac Mansion in my 30s and stuff now, and Grim Fandango, and I was like, oh, these would have been foundational to me, but whoopsie daisy.
Went a different direction. Yeah, like. King's Quest VI was like, I think, the first thing that I played, and it left kind of an indelible mark. Also responsible for my undying love of the voice of Tony J to this day, because he's the narrator in King's Quest VI, or he's a character you interact with. But it was just like, I heard that voice, and I was like, oh, and then like every time that I would hear him after that, I was like, oh. And I think that's also the only piece of like fan mail that I ever sent to someone was actually Tony J, and then found out that he had passed away.
Oh no!
So yeah, like I found his website and I sent an email, right? And then it was like later where I found out that like, oh, he had actually passed a while before.
Oh, okay. Like, so it wasn't right after. It wasn't like a Death Note situation where you.
No, thankfully,
okay, good. That's
seem
good
that
to hear.
Way. Yeah.
Thankfully, I don't have that power.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And I relate to the modded Xbox thing because I sure had one of those too, and that's how I played a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I spent all my graduation money on a modded Xbox, and it was worth it.
Not everybody had access to an independent video game store that they worked at and could just check out anything that they wanted to.
Yeah.
And, like experience everything that way.
Yeah. No, I just ripped off things from the Family Video down the street that's closed now. I'm part of the reason it closed, maybe. I don't know. No, probably not.
You're definitely. It
definitely wasn't Netflix and the internet that killed video stores. That's definitely not how that worked. It was me with my modded Xbox. Just me.
Yeah. That's what Nintendo would have you believe.
That's fair. All right. Well, now that the easy stuff's out of the way, Brock Wilbur, now here comes the hard part, because I have 5 questions for you. And I'm going to play my new stand-in clip, because the old stand-in clip has a purpose now. So here we go.
Fuck 'em.
It's good. I like that button a lot. It's a good stand-up. It's a good stand-in button. Yeah, it really is. It really is. And that's the debut. Nobody else has heard it. They've heard it. But anyway. All right. Question number 1, Brock Wilbur. Who's your favorite member of Foghat? Oh, if you need help, let me list some members for you. Yeah, Foghat. They're a band. Somehow they're still around. I don't know how. They're touring
like
right now.
Maybe the first concert I ever saw, they were like opening for some other people. Like, they were opening for Kansas. I saw them in Central. That's
there you go.
My first show. So,
there you go.
Still around? I shouldn't even be around. That's fucking wild, man. What?
They're still touring. They're still touring. They're coming to somewhere around here because I heard a commercial for it. And I was like, really? Why? Why would they do this?
Foghat in your area, Justin.
They're in my area. They're like Blackpink for old people. All right. Well, we have Roger Earl. He's on drums. We have Scott Holt. He's the lead vocalist. Brian Bassett. He's the lead guitar. David Peverett. He's the rhythm guitar. You got Rod Price slide guitar, and Charlie Hoon, and he's the rhythm guitar guy. So
I guess Bassett then.
Yeah, lead guitar probably. I'm surprised that Foghat has a slide guitar, so I'd probably pick Rod Price myself. Plus, his name is Rod. Which is funny. So, all right. Well, good answer. All right. Number 2 is going to require a bit of setup. I'm going to ask the question, and then I'm going to give you the rundown on what happened here. Are you supposed to eat chocolate roses? Now, what happened was, where I work, and this is a sad thing, somebody's child died of cancer. All right. So to raise money,
okay.
This is what happened. All right,
I understand.
Yes, they handed out chocolate roses. Well, they didn't hand them out. They sold them for $1 to raise money for the family that died. And so I bought one because I was like, oh well, yes, I should buy one of these. And then I sat there and looked at it, and I was like, should I eat this? Because I paid $1 for it. Is it rude to eat it, or what am I supposed to do with the chocolate? Now, I will say this. I did eat it. I don't know if that was the wrong thing to do. And it was awful. It tasted horrible. But was that the right thing to do?
Normally, I'd say around any sort of death thing that this is supposed to be metaphor or a symbol, and you're supposed to, keep it around, keep somebody's memory around. But I'm from the Midwest, and all the funerals mean is just like a lot of casseroles and stuff. Like, food is inherent in it. So, like, I feel like you are supposed to eat it. Like, yeah, you did the right thing. Also,
it was sold to me by a man who brought it to me in a rollaway luggage. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this whole thing. It was horrible, and I regretted eating it. So there's that. Number 3, what color is your energy?
Whatever S.A. Martinez and Nick Hexum think my energy is. I've had a chance to interview both of them over the years, and I really fucked up my opportunity to ask them. Well, they're coming. They will be in town here for me tomorrow. They are putting on a 420 show here in Kansas City. And
it is 420 tomorrow.
Excited to have them.
Yeah. All right. That's good. That's good.
I feel like you did them a kindness by not asking them that question, because I'm sure that's like the thing that everybody asks them.
Well, no, probably not. I doubt it. It's a lot of pressure to make them judge you like that. They don't want to judge. So
true.
They don't seem judgy. All right. Question number 4. How many times a day do you think about the movie I Got the Hookup starring Master P?
Well, 1 today, I guess.
Yeah. That sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds about right. And finally, number 5, how do you feel about all this water? Just all of it.
It's in all the wrong places.
Yeah, it can be. A lot of bugs. It's a problem sometimes. But at the
Yeah.
same time, gotta have it. Necessary evil, you know? That's water
Wish
for
it was
you.
cleaner.
Yeah. And
Cleaner.
yeah, well, that's why they have treatment plants for these things, you know? We're working on it, but we're not doing a good job. All right. Well, that's been 5 questions. Thank you, Brock. You've done it. You've done an
Thank
excellent
you.
job. Well, you're welcome, I guess. So we'll get out of this bit by doing this.
Fuck 'em.
It's a good button. It's a really good button.
It's a good button.
I like it.
He sounds nerdier every time that I hear it.
It's
Like,
great.
It sounds less like Alex Trebek and more like just like a stereotypical like guy playing a nerd.
Yeah, he was really upset after that recording. It's good. All right.
Man, can you imagine like what you have to do to like upset Alex Trebek? I bet it was a difficult. Well, maybe not. Maybe he was just like a very salty dude. Like when the cameras weren't rolling, but I always got the impression that he had like endless wells of patience.
Maybe, but this was this was in the like the 80s, like when he first started it, I think, because there was touch tone phones involved. So, you know,
Gotcha.
it was, yeah, you could use your touch tone phone and call in, and I don't know, you answer a question and win money, I guess. I don't know. It was weird. The whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to go look up. I think you can also look it up by typing in Alex Trebek drunk, and you get a lot saucier things from that. Which, but yeah, that's a good clean rip.
Yes.
All right.
It is very clean, actually.
It is very clean.
Brock, I definitely, we'll get into like kind of what you've been playing more recently later on in the show. But one of the things that kind of kicked off your appearance on the Stage Select this week was a tweet where you had shown a screenshot from the HUD of Suicide Squad. And you said that you had played it all the way through twice and still had no idea what everything that you were showing meant. And then later proceeded to mention that you had played all the way through Redfall 3 times. And that led me to letting you know that Justin over here played all the way through Gotham Knights to completion twice.
Yeah.
And then right after, like literally this week, our friend Weston, who was on a couple episodes ago, wrote a really excellent blog piece on Big Nerd Gaming about embracing like 7 out of 10 as a score, right? Because it is a good score, right? As the problem is kind of universal where outlets stopped using their entire scale, and so 7 unfortunately became the lowest score that most places give out on unless it's just like unmitigated trash. But I thought it'd be a fun time to like kind of kick off this show talking about those 7s out of 10s, because like this is probably the only time we'll get a chance to talk about Suicide Squad on this show, unless I pick it up for like a deep discount late in the year.
I think late in the year is optimistic.
Yeah.
For the deep discount?
I think that's certainly right around the corner, man.
Oh, no, yeah, but I probably, I still have to get through these other 100-hour games that are, much better than Suicide Squad. So that's probably when I'm thinking that I'll have time to play it. Yeah, and I think it would also just be fun to kind of highlight, like, what it is about, like, those types of games, right? Because, like, Brock, you and I were talking before the show, it's like, sometimes I crave a 7, right? Like, sometimes I want just, like, a solid, not going to blow my socks off type of game, but it hits certain buttons in my brain, right? Like I had mentioned Evil West a couple years ago. It's like grade A example of that, where it's like, it is not a phenomenal game, but goddamn did I have fun with it. And I still think about it to this day. And I
the
want
masculine
more like
urge
that.
to throw on an Xbox 360 game or an Xbox 360 level quality game in 2024 to break up the really, really stellar stuff. But also,
Yes.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain I threw on something like Dark Void as soon as I was done with Starfield and was like, nah, I need something that don't have to read any dialogue for and just make the jetpack go boom. Like a decade ago, we were doing this discourse in like the 360 era about like how there was such a good space that was underappreciated for like the B-movie equivalent of games. And the ones people were
Absolutely.
highlighting back then were like, we should really not be dunking on things like Deadly Premonition and Earth Defense Force. Like, these are the things that, like, they're
Right.
such a, like, gaming should make more space and have more space for celebrating the equivalent of the Best Buy DVD bin that has Idle Hands in it 11 times and Road Trip. And just like, yeah, there are things that are so good that people won't touch because it's not celebrated in that way. And like, I don't think that probably applies to Suicide Squad or Redfall. I'm just a fan of, I don't know, I get into loops on things that I like. And like,
I hear you.
with Suicide Squad, from the outset, like when people were starting a week beforehand to share like screenshots and they're like, oh, there's this nice tribute to the voice actors that have passed. And in those screenshots, you could barely see what it said because there were so many waypoints and other HUD things on it. It was already like, even when you're not in a battle scenario or a mission, just sort of hanging out inside, like it's just a mess. And I was like, oh, so that's what this is going to look like. And, I do not know what's happening in that game, but I have a lot of fun just smashing the buttons. I do not play online with anybody, but I am ranked on the global leaderboards, and that's not a great sign for the player base. Have either of you played it through the story?
Oh, no.
I have not touched it yet.
Yeah, me neither.
I can sum up the entire game, but I'll put a little spoiler wall here for the listener. I cannot imagine that anyone is being spoiled for this, and it's not even really an end-game thing. But here it is. The end of the game, you fight the big bad. And you kill him. As Brainiac. Brainiac's the big bad. Everyone knows that. You fight him and you kill him. What happens next is that Lex Luthor and Amanda Waller tell you, you've killed one Brainiac, but here's the thing. There are 13 Brainiacs, 12 more left that are on alternate worlds. And so I was like, oh, okay. So like, I've got to go have that giant 30-minute boss fight 12 more times. And they're like, hang on. You can only go to one new world with each new DLC that comes out. And I have never
that's so good.
lost my mind over the aspirational nature that 12 different seasons of DLC would come out for this game. That almost immediately Warner Brothers, who earlier today, David Zaslav just got like a 25% raise for making things disappear for tax credits. And it was just like, this game's not going to last that long. Like the first DLC just came out, season 1, and it's got the Joker. And I got like the pass for the seasons, and I thought that you'd get the characters with the new DLC. No, you either have to play the whole DLC to unlock the character, or you can spend $10 up front. And I did because I was like, I'm not going to sink all that time in to unlock a new. What am I even doing then? I'm just, I thought that's what the point of this DLC was. And like, no, the thing you get for free is you can unlock a series of new emotes. And I'm like, I don't play online with anybody. So getting somebody to spin a basketball as Harley Quinn is not, I'm not communicating anything. It reeks so heavily right out of the gate of they were like, we have to find ways to extract money from this.
Oh, that's amazing. I love this. Because
there's no one left here. And just that fucking awe-inspiring aspiration of like, we'll have 12 seasons of this. It's just like, no, man. Yeah. Like that was the moment I was like, I will never see the end of this game. It will never be made.
The balls it takes to do that is incredible.
I do respect it. It reminds me of when I was playing Dragon Age Origins, and there is this guy in my camp, and he's telling me this story about like that there's this keep over here that needs my help, blah blah blah, and he goes in this whole thing, and then he was like, you know, will you help us? And I hit yes, and then it took me out of the game to the Xbox store because it was the pitch man for the DLC, and I was like,
hell yeah,
all right, BioWare, you got me. I bought it right there and then I went and helped that man because I was like, I kind of respect that. And this
I wish more DLC like cried at you first. Please, sir, without this horse armor, my children. Like, shit, man. Yeah. Like I heard his sob story. This is, man, I'm in now.
Yeah, I'm already invested.
Yeah, you know what? They really should start doing that, actually. I mean, it's not working to just, like, plaster it everywhere on the main menus. It just makes people mad. But what if you just, like, work it into the dialogue? Like, please. And then, like, a little thing, like, on the dialogue box, it just comes up like, hey, if you pay $5 real-world dollars, you can help this man cure his children of, you know, whatever.
Every
you can
time
buy
I toss a coin
rose.
to my Witcher, it costs $2.99 through the Xbox store, and
yeah,
it's good. It's good for me.
It's good. Yeah, everybody's happy. Yep.
Yeah. Gives that little chemical hit in the head. I did a good thing.
I did a good thing.
I did a virtual good thing.
I did my good deed for the day, and somebody got richer. Honestly, it's not actually benefiting anyone, but. Oh boy, yeah, no. Why aren't they doing that? They should do it. Oh boy,
yeah.
Oh,
so Brock, how does one end up playing through Redfall 3 times? Now, to be fair, I didn't play it. I'm not the biggest fan of Arcane's games. I think maybe their Blade game might be the thing that finally like clicks for me.
Sure,
I've tried most of them. I didn't try Redfall yet, but I do want to play it eventually, just because I'm constantly curious.
I am sure it is destined for one of those Titanfall 2 futures where it's just $2.99 forever.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I like all the Arcane games. Prey is like one of my favorite of all time, and I don't know. There's a certain Bioshockiness to a small town vampire thing with a lot of cult stuff and just some real deep lore. And I don't know. There was a lot of really clever choices in there. There's like a boss fight at one point that there's absolutely nothing on any map or menu or thing that would list that this is an encounter. It's a thing that's hinted at in a couple of journals, and what it sort of says is if you go out into the middle of this field at night and fire a flare gun into the air, something might appear. And it took till my like 3rd playthrough to even crack that, and did that. And I was like, oh, so there's just like stuff buried throughout this. Like that's really interesting. And like,
I like that.
I don't know. It was constantly drenched in atmosphere. It was, even at some of the lowest difficulty levels, pretty brutal, but like, I don't know. It's one of those that you kind of get good at a game and you're like, I like being good at this. I got a lot of big plot heavy stuff waiting in the to-do list, but today I'm just home from work. I've got 30 minutes before I got to start cooking dinner. I'm just going to do a little more Redfall. We're going to go blow up a vampire and call it good. Enjoy some nice James Urbaniak voiceover as one of the big bads. And it was just like, this is fine. This is fine and fun. Much like Suicide Squad, I think that I don't engage with the discourse nearly enough or spend enough time on Twitter these days. So like, I didn't know that no one else was enjoying it. And I was just sort of like, this is great.
Yeah.
And again, I don't try to match up with anyone or plan times or things. So I don't know. I enjoy when people give me little sandboxes to go play in. I love going back to games that no longer have an online component and you're just like wandering dead liminal worlds. I think those are a special place for things where there's just like, I don't know, there's one server running somewhere. There's a chance you could see somebody, but probably no. And I'm like, all right, this is for me now for a bit.
Yep.
Yeah. And Justin, we might talk about this later because I know what you've been up to. But like sometimes you just want like a good like checklisty game where you're just constantly like making progress and checking things off the list.
Sometimes I just want to run into a place and chop a bunch of people's heads off on accident when I hit them in the legs. That's what I want to do, and it's pretty great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That actually sounds a lot cooler than like what I was seeing from like, a lot of the early impressions on Redfall. That actually has me like quite a bit more interested.
I also don't know what state it's in now, but in the first month or so, the level of jank on there was on par with a 360 game.
Yeah.
Like when I say it had BioShock vibes, I mean that across the spectrum. Like I was just glitching into walls and falling through the planet and stuff. And I was like, this ship's edit was undone. And I think that that's what people mostly had an issue with. Like definitely the technical side, but even like the shooting and the enemies were super samey and spongy and like a lot of powers and stuff didn't really make sense. So I don't know. It was sort of a plow through until you'd leveled up enough and then you were too overpowered, so it didn't really matter. I don't know. I liked spending time in that world and I'll never think about it again beyond today, so.
Right. And that's the thing, right? Like, I do miss that middle ground, of like the B game, right? Like, but the thing about those is that they were also typically like kind of slightly lower budget type games, right? Like it wasn't the massive swing that, like a Suicide Squad or a Redfall is supposed to be. And I guess we kind of have that more with like the indie space now. Like you've got kind of like your higher budget indies that kind of occupy that space. But like sometimes I'm just sitting or I'm at work and my mind is drifting. I'm like, man, we need more games like Wet or like Bullet Witch.
Yes.
I'm waiting. I'm sure it's out there, right? I probably just don't engage with this part of video game YouTube, but there's got to be like some overly enthusiastic YouTubers that are starting to discover those games from the 360 and just being like, whoa, like with the crazy thumbnail face.
Well, even those,
but I want that for those games.
If they're finding them now, things like Wet, it's definitely because the Xbox service is shutting down, and so many of those digital only games from the 360 era are like a couple of months away from never existing again. It's like, if you want to get your feet wet, you got like 3 weeks here right now. So,
right. Yeah. I played let's see. I don't know any good B games that I've played recently, but I played I played fucking Gotham Knights twice through. My whole thing with that was I needed to know what happened in the story. And what happened in the story was bad and I didn't really want to know it, but I did it again. And what haunts me now is that I don't remember why I played through it again, but I don't either.
Did. But that definitely happened.
It did. No, it 100% did.
But the thing also is that I think that was still, when you were on medical leave. So I didn't have that in a week.
I did. I didn't have much better to do. So I just played Gotham Knights and look, I like Batgirl. I was like, oh, cool. Batgirl's in this game. I'm just going to play as Batgirl. That's going to they're like, but what, don't you want to be? No, I don't. I just want to be Batgirl. But all the other guys have, no, it's cool. I'll just be her. It's fun. I was like, all right. It was basically like Gotham Knights was just Batgirl, the video game. It didn't really have to be good. My dumbass is going to play it. And then I played it, and I don't know why I played it again. Maybe I thought something different was going to happen in the ending, but I don't think that's true.
You definitely weren't going for the achievements.
No, I wasn't going for the achievements. I keep thinking it might have been something loot related where like I didn't get a certain thing that I wanted to get. And then I was like, well, I guess we're just going to have to play it again. And I just did it. But it did have like that kind of loop where where like I would go into like these buildings and then I would like just slowly stealth everybody out because I like doing that. That's fun. Just hiding around and just like my thing with stealth games is always trying to find the most optimal route, like to get everyone without anybody seeing me. So like I will like, that's what I've been doing in Rise of the Ronin recently, is just like, okay, this is this place. How do I stealth everyone? And most of the time it doesn't work because there's always like one strong guy that you stab him in the neck and then they just turn around like, what was that all about? And then they fight you, which is fine. But
I wish they would actually say that.
That would be way funner. But they don't do that. You just have a fight with a British man then. And they're upset. The British are upset a lot. I mean, I did burn their house down. Well, I didn't. Some guy did. Some guy burned a house down, and they're upset about it. And then Ryoma Sakamoto was like, I don't know about that. And I was like, I don't even know what happened. Like everything was on fire when we got there. I don't know what you're complaining about. That's a very confusing game. Anyway, Gotham Knights, it just had a good loop where I just kept like doing that shit. Like there was definitely stuff I didn't want to do in it, but I did a lot of it. I don't know why I did it.
You ever worry we just do a podcast about addiction and that
Yeah.
whether or not these games are good or bad does not really matter. I have that concern sometimes.
Yeah, I think I can. There are times where I'm like, I'm actively like, I know this game is not very good, but I'm just gonna keep playing it because what else am I gonna do?
Then there's the opposite side of that coin, which is the game that's so good that you literally skip meals and sleep, which was Unicorn Overlord for me, where
I have that.
for the last like 3 weeks, like I have missed meals or I have stayed up to ungodly hours on a work night because I was like, it's one of those things where I get into that state and then I look down, it's like, oh shit, it's 3.
There might be something to that. Maybe that's why I like kind of a middle of the road to bad video game, because I don't do things like that then. Because I do that stuff too, because I'm very bad. And then, but like Rise of the Ronin, I'm playing and I'm like, I'm done with this. That's good. Yeah, we're good today. That's okay. You know? And that there might be something to that. Like, I feel normal now. This is good. I feel like an average person. Like, I play it for a couple hours. I'm like, that's good. That's good for me. So there might be something to that, actually.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to unpack that though. I feel that that's going to like lead me to some very, very dark revelations about myself.
Well, sometimes we learn about ourselves. You got to look in the mirror and you got to go self something.
Yeah.
I don't know what you say. Just say that.
The Suicide Squad was the friends we made along the way.
Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't it be?
That's what it really is.
Yep.
But again, I played it alone, so no.
Yeah. I would do the same thing. And I'm actually like kind of like, you know what? I might look into that at some point when it's nice and cheap, because I am curious. There is a curiosity there. It has been there since it came out.
It's a Rocksteady game. Like,
yeah.
Like how can you not?
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing, right? Is that it's clearly they put work into it, right? Like you can see it. I do think that it is the ugliest, like highest budget game that I think I've ever seen, just because there's so much visual noise going on that's kind of divorced from the graphics itself. Like there's just so many numbers popping off and waypoint markers and quest markers and status ailment things and stuff like that. And it's a lot. Every time that I see like video of it, I'm like, oh, I can't even parse what's going on right now.
Yeah. Listen, if they put Batgirl on that game, I'll play the shit out of it. That's all I'm saying. Like I will just sit there and play it now. I don't know.
There's probably a Batgirl outfit for Harley, because one of the weird things about that game that I find is that they all have like superhero costumes of like actual heroes. And I feel that that's not a thing that any of those characters would ever want to wear. Like,
well, they're having a good time, Julian. So, Yeah. Yeah.
Far be it from me to criticize them. But you fucking hate that person. Why do you want to dress like them?
Well, they're having a good time, It's a whole thing. Yeah. That's why.
That's why. Well, before we move on to more stuff, we do have last minute entries into the 2024 presidential primaries.
All right.
So coming to us from Casey Curran.
Okay.
And actually, I like these a lot. Ichiban Kasuga is running for Democrat.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, that sounds right.
Kazuma Kiryu running for Republican.
Yeah. I don't know.
No, yeah. Wait, the more you think about it, like,
I guess. I don't know.
I can see it. I can see it.
I don't know if I agree with that, but okay.
It is what it is.
Yeah, sure.
That's what we've got on the ticket.
It's there.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, what else is there? Is there?
Oh, yes. Lastly, we have a trio from Bill at A Gamer Looks at 40.
Okay.
He chose violence.
All right.
Because he is throwing an independent into the mix.
Okay. All right. Fair.
He says, Mr. Saturn from Earthbound on the independent ticket.
Okay.
Anyone who speaks in Comic Sans should be at least considered for office.
That's true. That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been saying it all along. This election needs its Ralph Nader. We need it.
Well, there you go. It's Mr. Saturn from Earthbound.
Yeah.
And Earthbound is like one of those games where it's like I can totally see him taking like a crazy amount of the vote.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
All right, that's what's happening. Also, he says Democratic nominee will be Princess Peach. She's finally cast aside the monarchy for our democratic system, and I, for one, fully support the move.
Okay, fair. That's good.
Fair.
All
That's
right.
good.
She's got that Meghan Markle thing going on.
Yeah.
It's a good good transition point. I like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Republican is Samus Aran. Sure, she has a history of being a rogue badass gallivanting around the galaxy, but years living in an HOA neighborhood with kids and expensive sports has turned her politics to the red side. She's got no time for social justice when the little one takes judo 3 days a week. Taxes are a bitch.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I seem to remember The Mandalorian also having a lady who liked jetting around and being a badass and taking a similar career path. So, sure.
Yeah.
That
that
tracks
sounds
for
right.
me.
Yeah, that tracks
Yeah,
for me.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We don't like to talk about her, though. We'll
Yeah. You know.
She's doing fine.
Yeah. And that will close the nominations for the primaries. And so what's going to follow in the next weeks, I'm still kind of formulating it, but I'm going to cut together some ads to run like throughout episodes. We will do like some debates. I'm thinking about editing them into like sort of like a SNL cold open type sketch type thing. And we'll probably have to do like 2 for each party just because there's so many nominees. And then we'll start to do like some polling and stuff like that to see like, you know, where the listeners are at and who, you know, rises to the top until we finally whittle it down to our actual, you know, I guess Mr. Saturn has a pass. He's in.
He's in. Yeah. He's
in the final mix.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see who the Democrat and Republican, nominees are. And then we'll cap this off at the end of the year with an actual election to see who is the video game president.
I don't feel good about it, but we'll do it.
You don't feel good about anything that I do.
I mean, no, I don't feel good about where it's going to go, Julian. I feel like I'm going to, you know, I don't know. It's not going to.
Oh, yeah. This has the potential to get very real.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
One thing. So I had this idea because I was thinking about like coming up with an ad for Waka, like for his presidential ad.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, no. I'm taking your input, Justin, but I think what it's going to be is that the Democrats are going to be running on video game development platforms, like the stuff that happens outside of their worlds.
Okay.
But the Republicans are only going to be interested in like the in-game fantasy shit.
Okay, sure.
That seems on brand to me as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, you know, because I wanted to have a bit where like, you know, Waka is running on getting the Al Bhed, you know, out of Spear so that they're not taking your jobs and stuff like that, because
that's fair.
Look, I love the guy, but like that's his whole shtick.
That's what he does. Yeah, he's upset about those people that are different from him. What are you gonna do? Yeah.
Yeah. Also, people seemed well, I take that back. In our Discord, there was some hubbub about why Mario was running as a Republican, but everybody kind of got what I was putting down, which is, you know, he is a blue collar guy that should be like pro union, right? But has somehow been brainwashed by like Republican billionaires that any type of socialism is the devil. And also dudes where like he's been wearing the red M cap for way longer than, you know, someone else did. So
my dudes, Joe the plumber was not that long ago. We have an arc here.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I think everybody's on board with that. They kind of get what I was putting down with that. So I giggle like a madman when I start thinking of like the shit that could happen with this whole thing. So it should be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it shakes down.
Yeah, that's good. I just noticed in our Discord that people were writing a lot of facts that they find interesting about Daryl Strawberry, and that made me happy. I will at some point add those to the work computer. I recently realized that they don't have the internet locked out on it, and I can just go and copy things from the internet, so that's good.
Oh man, you've got way too much power.
I have way too much power, and it's kind of fun. Yeah, I don't know how far they'll let me go, but I'm willing to find out. Yeah. Well, what now?
Well,
Well-
you had hinted that you had a new thing. Did you want to unveil that new thing?
I think it's time. I think it's time to unveil this new thing. So I didn't play much video game wise. We've been talking about Rise of the Ronin. That's about all I did. And I told you about the British man. You know, he was very upset that we burned his house down, but then we killed him, and then, you know, somebody showed up. I'll just keep spoiling the story to it. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares about it. So here's this new bit. Now, this used to be a stand-in audio clip, but I've given it purpose now. And this is a segment that's called Books, Check 'em Out.
Books, check 'em out.
All right. I really love that audio clip. I wanted to give it, it was the stand-in for a long time, and now it has a purpose.
Yes.
So what I've begun doing is, Brock is a writer. I'm not very good at it, but I'm trying to get better. And so I've decided, in my time to get better at writing, that I'm going to begin, as every great author of our time has. And I've started writing fan fiction.
Hell yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, so my first entry into this is called Lara Croft Goes to Wingstop. It's a Tomb Raider fan fiction. This is just chapter 1, so you know we'll read through it here, and you guys can tell me how I can improve or you know whatever. All right, here we go. One day, Lara Croft, the Tomb Raider, was very hungry, but not any food would do. Lara Croft demanded chicken. She has servants because she's rich, and so she made them make her chicken. But it wasn't good enough. They all did it wrong. This chicken is bad. I would like good chicken, Lara shouted. Yo, maybe you should go to Wingstop or whatever, one brave servant replied. Will there be a chicken there, Lara asked. They'll be dead already, the servant answered. Good. I prefer my chickens dead, Lara said. And so she got in her Jeep Grand Cherokee and drove to Wingstop. The servants didn't drive her there because they had to clean up all the chicken. She used GPS to find the one closest to her. It was in a strip mall next to a dentist's office and a Cece's Pizza that had been closed for several years. Your destination is on the left, the GPS lady said. Fuck off, Lara replied. But the GPS wasn't offended, because it's a robot. She parked her Jeep Grand Cherokee and went inside. It was 4 o'clock on a Wednesday, so it wasn't busy. A hostess came to greet her. Welcome to Wingstop, she said. The author of this fan fiction has never been here, and thus has no idea if there are actual servers here. He assumes it's similar to a Buffalo Wild Wings or a Chili's. Is it just you dining with us today, ma'am? My name is Lara Croft. Yes, it will be just me today, Lara answered. The hostess was confused that Lara told her name, but decided not to press the issue. Lara followed the hostess to a small table. It was made out of wood. Lara sat down and started to look at one of those pamphlets that might be a menu but is probably just drink specials. Your waitress will be right with you, said the hostess. Lara nodded, and the hostess left. It was like 2 minutes, and the waitress showed up, because it wasn't busy. Hi, welcome to Wingstop. I'm Kelly, and I'll be your server today. Can I start you off with something to drink? The waitress asked, as she handed Lara an actual menu. I'll have a Diet Sprite, Lara said. I'm sorry, ma'am, we don't have Diet Sprite. Can I get you something else? The waitress answered, wondering who in the hell orders a Diet Sprite in 2024. This is bullshit, Lara muttered. I'll just have a water then. Would you like a lemon in it? The waitress asked. No, Lara answered. The waitress then left for like a minute and returned with Lara's water. It had ice in it, which is the custom in America. Lara remembered the time she stabbed a guy in the throat when she was inside that Aztec temple. That guy never got to have any more water with ice in it because he bled to death. Are you ready to order, or do you need a few minutes? The waitress asked. I watched a man bleed to death once, Lara said. That sounds cool, the waitress replied. It was cool, Lara added, and I will have one of everything on the menu. It's okay, I'm rich and can afford to do this. Okay, I believe you, the waitress said. I'll put that right in for you. Lara never looked at the menu, so she figured if she ordered one of everything, surely one of the items wouldn't be terrible garbage. And maybe even one of them would be chicken that was good. While Lara waited, she did some Googling of Wingstop. She learned rapper Rick Ross owned several Wingstop franchises for some reason. She thought about what Rick Ross songs she knew, but was distracted by the Brian Setzer Orchestra playing too loudly for anyone to have a conversation over. How does one learn how to jive and wail, she thought to herself, and why is there jumping involved? The smell of food was growing stronger by the minute, and Lara was getting hungrier and hungrier. A men's golf tournament played on mute in the distance as Lara thought about the mistakes that led her to this point in her life. Without noticing, an older man had approached her table. "Is that your Jeep Grand Cherokee in the parking lot?" the man asked. "My wife and I have been thinking about buying one. We both crave adventure, but prefer to do so in luxury with plenty of storage space for lumber and things. Do you think we should visit our local Jeep dealer today?" And that's the end of chapter 1. Leaves on a bit of a cliffhanger. Yeah. Well, thank you.
I especially appreciate how badly I want a Jeep Grand Cherokee and to go to Wingstop.
Yeah.
Fellas, I have good news. Both of those are cornerstones to my life. The Wingstop near my work and my Jeep Grand Cherokee. So
There you go.
You're practically Lara Croft.
in many ways, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that sounds about right. I mean, all you got to do
We're
is
not
stab him
great
in
at
the throat.
respecting other cultures.
Right,
We have
yeah.
names that people mispronounce. A lot of fun there to be had.
Yeah. Pretty much it.
I am personally a huge fan, point one, of a servant being brave enough to step up to the plate here. The implications of what she does to the other servants, quite threatening right out of the gate, really establish what sort of Croft this is that we're dealing with. And then almost immediately on the heels of that, her using a GPS system, which
Yes.
I think GPS must not be canon for the Croftverts.
Yeah,
never
no,
seen her
probably
do
not.
it, but it seems like it would make these games more linear and fast.
Yeah.
Just an easier thing.
Seems like it would help.
You know how ladies are never stopping to ask direction. Am I right, guys?
Right.
Yeah, just perfect. No notes. That's great.
Well, thank you.
There were two notes in the notes where that's good.
I have
thank
one
you.
note.
Yeah.
It being a fan fiction, I was waiting for the description of her body in painful detail as if written by someone who's never seen a woman before.
Yeah.
I feel like it was missing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's me, so I don't know if you're going to get that. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think for the intended audience here, you know that everyone there knows more than anyone needs to about the body
Probably.
in question here.
Yeah, I don't
multiple
really- yeah.
decades of it's
Yeah.
been handled.
Right. Yeah.
This-
yeah.
You
that's
don't
very
have to describe Abraham Lincoln as having a big hat, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very fair. Yeah. Well,
I
thank
just
you.
really wanted the paragraph about her chest at a right angle.
Yeah, I'm not
just-
George R.R. Martin, so you're not going to get that from me.
Not with that attitude, you're not. Like,
Nah.
dream
well,
bigger,
yeah,
Justin.
that's true. He has a lot more money than I do, but I mean, that's how he thinks about people, I guess. Anyway,
I want to see you in a George R.R. Martin hat. That would bring me joy.
what kind of hat does he wear? Now I have to look that up.
I think it.
Like a
I feel
Newsies cap?
It's like a. Is it a Newsies cap? Okay, yeah, I get it. Sometimes in my head, I sometimes think that he's wearing like an admiral hat, like from like a ship. But no, yeah, it's more of like a.
Oh,
Newsies
okay, yeah. It does. I can see where you get the admiral thing. No, okay. So I used to wear like a cabbie hat for a while, and when I was in high
Excellent.
school, that was fun. That was a fun time in my life. And I have been looking, I have almost pulled the trigger on a yacht captain's hat a few times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
I wanted to get a yacht captain's hat and then wear a t-shirt that said, "Ask me about my boat." And then when somebody enthusiastically asked me about the boat, I would be like, "Oh, I don't have a boat." And then they'd be really disappointed because people who own boats just want to talk about boats all the time. It's a thing I know. Yeah. All right.
Oh man, I if you ever come on one of these like recordings with that, I'm gonna lose it, and like it'll be the greatest episode we've ever
Well,
done.
now
I
it's
won't
got to
be able
happen.
stop.
Now it's going to happen. So we'll you'll have to record it for posterity's sake. Well, the video anyway. So
Yeah,
we'll get there.
excellent.
All right.
Well, Brock, what have you been up to, like gaming wise or other, like recently that you wanna hit up?
Yeah, just gotten good. The conversation with you about Suicide Squad actually spurred me to start doing a thing that I've meant to do for a long time, and that is to just start deleting things when I feel like I've entered a loop on them. So Suicide Squad, not on my hard drive anymore. I was like, a kind of stranger I admitted to that I've got a problem with this, and I'm in that period of my life where pulling back on those problems, and I was like, oh, I have been staying up late playing this thing that I actively and unprompted will share that I do not enjoy. There is a way around this. I can just hit 2 buttons and be free of it. And that is what I've done.
Right.
In my head, I'm like, there's going to be a Saturday where I'm like, let's fuck about. Let's just go back and see. But also, nothing matters anymore. 100 gigabytes can download in 5 minutes. So like, sure.
That's very true.
The in and out on there is good, but it's not just sitting there waiting for me. And, last night I finished, Dredge. Had a great time with Dredge. Knocked that out, right before that. Finally knocked out both of the, recent Star Wars Jedi games. I think I got into that mode because I did the Dark Forces remaster, which was awesome, and then had people over for the Battlefront remaster, which was not awesome. I was like, look, I'm just in a fucking Star Wars lane right now. Time to go knock out those 2 that have been sitting there while people tell me they're good for a very long time, and they both were very good. Also ones that I knew that I could go back and spend another 10 hours finishing up all the side quests and finding all the little lock boxes where I could get different facial hair for some reason, just hidden around the universe. And I was like, no, I can just delete this actually and, go play Dredge finally. Maybe I'll play Gris. Like, just every little indie is now going to be peppered in between. Today I saw that, 2 different DLCs have already dropped for, Dead Island 2, which was maybe the most fun I had with a game last year. And so downloaded that, was like, we'll see what that's like. I really enjoyed playing through that also alone. God, gotta stop doing video game podcasts. It comes off so sad.
Oh, you're fine. No, I get it.
You're in good company here.
You're in good company here. This is you're fine. I do this type of stuff all the time.
I got married, and as soon as you get married, you can't take on a game that doesn't have a pause function or where people are waiting for you. And so there's just so many cool multiplayer things that I'm sure would have really landed for me at a different point in my life. But I'm like, I don't have time to clam this up or put something in the calendar. Like, I've got 6 pets. I've got family. I've got responsibilities. And I'm just like, it has to be able to pause. If I can't pause, I can't do it. Like, that's the end of the road.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
So I played the demo for, I started to play the demo for Skull and Bones, right? They released that like right before the game came out. Because I was curious, right? Like, I really liked the ship combat in Assassin's Creed 4. I was like, let me take a look at this. And I was starting the tutorial, and then I hit start because, I think the camera stuff was like not to my taste. And so I hit start, went into the options to go tweak some stuff. I was like, okay, cool. Get out. And all of a sudden shit is popping off everywhere because the game doesn't pause, because it's a live service game. Like literally the tutorial, like I coasted into like the first major battle and had not done shit and was almost dead. And I was like, okay, uninstall. Like I was like, nope, like this isn't what I'm looking for. So no, I totally get it. Brock, are you a fan of like kind of the really challenging stuff like the Souls games, like, because that's what I get from like the Jedi, those 2 Jedi games, is that they're really modeled in that type of game.
I know Souls and especially Bloodborne would be really cool to me, but like I simply don't have. I've got too much of a backlog to take on anything that's going to cause me to have to like memorize a boss battle at this point in my life. So like Jedi
Right.
on medium or low difficulty was the first time I've really played one of the parry games. And I was like, oh,
Okay.
cool. Like I get what's cool about this mechanic now. And now I've done 2 games back to back that do a lot with it. And like, I'm good. I had the thought, I was like,
Yeah.
I had so much fun with that. Is it Dark Souls time? And I was like, I'm good. I'm fully good on that. Like, done.
Yeah.
Also, can't pause those games.
You can't pause those
that's the
games.
other problem.
Yeah.
I did not know that, and you have doubly sold me on not installing it.
Yeah.
So I will continue enjoying the soundtracks in my spare time, watching
That's
Let's
the way to
Plays
go.
about the lore, and I'll just be good.
That's what I do with most of it. I just want to know what's going on in this. And then I just watch a video like where somebody explains everything and I'm like, that's enough. I'm good. Thanks. And I move on.
It's the unfortunate byproduct of those games having that like asymmetrical multiplayer thing where even if you're playing offline, like it's still set up that way. So, and I guess part of it is they kind of like fucking with you. Like if like, oh, you were going through your inventory at the wrong time and now you're dead or because this monster was around the corner and saw you. It's like, oh, okay, guys, like I don't know why that needed to be a part of the game, but fine.
Yeah.
I have fallen off of Star Wars quite a bit in the last few years for a number of reasons. Not so much because I'm like I hate like the stuff that's been put out. It's more personal reasons for me. But I gotta say, I'm kind of interested in that Star Wars Outlaws that's coming out this summer.
I actually kind of, that looks like it might have a loop that entertains Justin. So I might be into that. Yeah. Yeah.
I just watched like I guess the release date announcement trailer, and I was like, no, there's some shit in here that's looking real good.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm definitely going to wait for reviews because I can go either way on Ubisoft stuff. Like sometimes I really get into it, and sometimes like I bounce right off. But I think it depends on how much bloat the game has.
Yeah. Yeah. Ubisoft will do. I mean, they're gonna try to sell you a ton of stuff because why wouldn't they? It's an Ubisoft game, and that's fine. And I might buy stuff if it's cool. I'll do it because I'm the reason this. Like, I'm bad. I'm probably the reason a lot of this stuff is there. Where they'll just show it to me, and I'm like, I mean, that is cool, and it's like $2. I mean. But it's never $2. That's the problem. What am I not going to make the character from Assassin's Creed look like Wonder Woman? Of course I'm going to do that. That sounds awesome. I'm going to do that. It's and am I going to pay too much for it? Absolutely. Am I going to have like fake currency that I'm never going to spend because of this? Probably. Yeah, I'm part of the problem. I know that. But it's probably going to happen, and there'll be some Star Wars thing where they'll just be like, "Hey, look at this! Now they look like I don't know, what's a Star Wars thing? I'm not very good at Star Wars stuff."
Actually, okay, Justin.
Yeah,
the main character in this game is a smuggler. Guess what the DLC outfits are?
What are they? Oh, like Han Solo.
There's one.
Okay. Is it that guy that Han shot in the place?
Think about another charismatic like criminal in the original trilogy.
Oh, charismatic criminals. Oh boy. Oh, you're really putting me through the Lando Calrissian. He was a criminal.
There you go.
Oh,
got it in two. That is the.
Well, it's kind of a joke. I was like, well, he ran that civilization.
On, your first thought was Greedo. Greedo.
Yeah,
DLC.
Greedo. Yeah, Greedo.
That's
yeah. Why? You know what? That's where the money is. More Greedo, please and thank you. I appreciate it.
I mean, you're not entirely wrong, right? Like, you and I have been talking for years about, like, why did Mass Effect Andromeda, like, saddle us as a human when all we wanted to be was an alien?
Yeah.
Right? And like, Star Wars games are also, like, I mean, Brock, it sounds like you enjoyed those Jedi games, but, like, the most milquetoast like main character design like that you could possibly come up with for a Star Wars. Like, it's just like, okay, yeah, it's just it's a guy, like capital A, capital G, like that is your character.
Well, that guy's he's having a good time, Julian, and you can put a nice mustache on him.
Yeah, but what if he was a Twi'lek?
But what if he had a mustache, Julian? Can Twi'leks grow a mustache? You answer
probably.
that. I
Well,
don't
this
think
character
they can.
can't grow a mustache either. You have to find it in a treasure chest.
Right.
On an
Right,
Imperial
that's how that
base
works.
in the ice, hidden behind a Metroidvania puzzle. So, yeah, all the facial hair hidden about
I mean,
the
that's how I
galaxy.
grew my beard. I found it in a treasure chest, and here it is. That's how it worked. You know?
You know, that didn't seem weird back in Fable 2, but now that you say it, like, in 2024, it's like, yeah, what the fuck? Like, just finding facial hair.
I had
like,
to go through a
designs.
very intricate, platforming
Yeah.
section to find
Right.
a mullet.
Yeah.
I found a mullet in a box after a very intricate platforming section. And that was sort of the point that I was like, when this is done, I think I'm going to be done. And the story was wonderful. I had a great time, but I was like, I don't
Yeah.
have to post game this one. This is
No.
credits roll, credits roll.
I really wish real life was like that. You jumped up a couple like cliffs or whatever and climbed to the top of Mount Everest to get a mullet, or now I have a nice fade, and it's
Mhm.
cool. I look good, but I walked the entire amount of the Wall of China, Great Wall of China, and now I look good.
You're positing a world where only the people that have climbed Mount Everest can have a mullet. So it becomes this status symbol.
It becomes
that
a
maybe
status
only
symbol, right?
A couple hundred
See?
people in history have ever had. Yeah,
Exactly.
We would worship that person. In an
We would
airport.
be like, man, mullet, man, that guy, he did some shit. Okay,
Yeah.
he did some shit. That's how I want the world to work now. I'm really disappointed that it doesn't.
Well, Justin,
Well.
let me tell you about the MMORPG.
Okay.
Because that's how that works. That you see the person in the like really
yeah.
awesome armor or have with the really cool hairdo. It's like, oh shit, I know what it took to get that.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
true. That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That axe is so shiny.
But then I have to interact with other people, and I don't know if I want to do that.
Well, no.
I like interacting with people, Julian. I just don't like interacting them while I'm playing video games. Because then they're like, why didn't you get out of the way of that? And I'm like, I'm really bad at this. That's why. And then they get upset, and then it's a whole thing. So yeah.
I was thinking about that because, I guess for me, like growing up, like whenever I was playing games multiplayer, it was done on the couch, right? With my cousins or my friends.
Mhm.
So it was like, that was a very different type of thing. And then once things started to come online, other than stuff like Final Fantasy 11 and 14, it was very much like I would start to like panic.
Yeah.
Like when I would like play, right? Even though like I had really great experiences with the early days of my Xbox 360 on Xbox Live, like, really nice interactions. Like everybody was really surprisingly chill. Like I didn't get any of that like real toxic stuff coming out, except when I played Gears of War for the first time on.
Yeah.
That tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, like as soon as like about a minute into the match, like someone was like, "Are you stupid or you just suck?" And I was like, "It's my first time playing."
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, whatever." I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah.
all right."
That's about right.
Gears is built different.
Yeah. This is the future that Cliffy B wanted. So, and here we are. Oh boy. Yeah. No, my experiences on the internet, like I played a lot of Halo 2 multiplayer back in the day with a friend of mine, but we were always in the same room and we kind of ignored a lot of what was happening. And when 8-year-olds would yell at us, it was hilarious. Right. And that was fun. And then like when I got older, I was kind of like, I didn't really have the internet for a while. And then I got older, and then the last one I played was like Overwatch when it first came out, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm getting into this.
Overwatch
This is
got some cool vibes to it.
yeah, it did. And for a while, when everybody was figuring it out, it was fun. And then they figured it out a little bit, and then it started to become like, why are you doing this? And I was like, I'm out on this. This is like this is not my thing, not for me. But
And I say all that, but then about every 2 weeks, I hover over Helldivers 2
yeah,
with the intent to purchase, because it just, something about that game like seems really cool. And it almost seems built around like, yo, you're going to fuck up and it's fine.
yeah,
Right? Like it's almost designed to make you fuck up, to like, no, like friendly fire's on. So like you will kill your teammates. Like it's baked into the experience.
Yeah, that could be all right. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well,
we'll see though.
Yeah.
I sampled some games this week.
Yeah, you mentioned
what'd you
that.
hit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was really excited about the early access for No Rest for the Wicked, which is the action RPG from the people who made Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yes, I was watching somebody play through that because I didn't know it came out, or like kind of it seemed like it was like an early access thing or something.
It's
right
early
now?
access. Yes.
Yeah.
So
and
it launched in early access on Thursday, but it's one of those early access things where it's like, yo, you could just release this. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But clearly they have things that they want to cook on and get input on, like Larian did with Baldur's Gate 3.
Right.
Now, I don't know what I was thinking when I made this purchase, because I had this experience already with Baldur's Gate 3 last year. Like I was so excited about the console release that I got the early access version of Baldur's Gate 3 right before 1.0 came out to give it a go. But my laptop is like on par with like launch PS4.
Okay.
Right. So I don't know why I was thinking, oh yeah, I can totally run this game that's made for the Xbox Series X just fine on my laptop. So I buy it, I fire it up and everything, and it definitely doesn't look great, but I'm like, okay, this will be fine. Like, we'll get into it. Like, get into the game, and I'm like, oh no. Oh
yeah.
I had to drop the resolution down to like 40%. And drop the frame rate from 60 to 30, which is as low as you can go, mind you. And it still didn't run great. Like once stuff started kicking off.
To be fair, I've heard that even on like every other PCs that are can run it pretty well, it still kind of has some performance hits. So.
You would expect that for it.
You would expect that, but
right?
but so you're trying to run it on something that's not made to do this, and
no. It was a lot like playing, a port on a Nintendo Switch. But But no, seriously, it was bad. But I did. So I ended up refunding it, but I did play enough of it to like kind of get in there and mess around with the combat. I got into the first few fights and everything like that. And even with my like super subpar setup where things were not like as responsive as they needed to be, that game feels great. They are on to something because at first look, it's very much like a very fancy Diablo style.
Yeah.
Game, right?
Looking at it was interesting because I couldn't tell, how I was playing, obviously. And and looking at it, I was like, this looks weird. Like, I'm not sure, like, it wasn't that it looked like it played bad, but I'm like, oh, there's like a stamina system and all this stuff going on. I was like, this might require me to like actually like play this to know what the hell is going on. So you hearing that it actually feels good to play is kind of encouraging, because I wasn't sure. I was like, this either is awful or it's fine, and I don't know. Which is you can say that about everything.
You don't usually love these types of games, right? Like I know you had your time with like Diablo 2 back in the day, but more modern versions, you kind of bounce off. I think this one might hook you because it's very much, and this is super reductive, but it's also true. Like it is very much like a Diablo meets Elden Ring type of thing.
As
far as like the combat goes, and it feels great. Like there's really excellent weight to the strikes and like the dodging and stuff like that. Like it's very tactile. And even like just like the regular grunts were like, it's not a turn your brain off and just click type of thing like Diablo 3 was for me. This is a much more engaging type of system. Right. And then after I refunded it last night, I went on YouTube and I was watching the Digital Foundry breakdown of like the early access build, and I was like, oh no, it did not look like that on my computer. Oh no, this looks incredible.
It looks really good. I really thought it looked good. That art style that it has is very, very cool. I don't know what it is about it. Yeah.
I do recommend going to watch this Digital Foundry video because they're doing this really interesting thing where they're kind of curving the horizon of the game to give you this illusion of scale. So you can see further into the distance on your average screen than you would in your usual like isometric view. And it definitely gives it like a look and makes the world feel really big.
That's cool.
So yeah, I am super excited for it. Like,
Yeah.
I thought about keeping it just because I was like, well, one day I'll be able to run it. And I do want to get a Steam Deck one day, and I'm sure they'll try to optimize it for that. But I was like, this is unplayable, on my current system. So there's no point in keeping it around. But, I think my thinking moving into it is like, well, I know it's going to be on Game Pass. So I don't mind like throwing them some cash up front to see like what this is.
Yeah.
And I unfortunately I just like really couldn't enjoy it, but it is very promising. I think it's coming out next year is what they're saying. So they're going I think for like at least a full year of early access, which should, do them really good. But I also really like the because you can create your character. It's a very limited character creator, but the proportions on the models are very unique.
Weird. Weird.
So
is
like
the word I
the
would
males
use.
are like super buff from the waist up and totally skipped leg day. Like that's totally what they're going for. And then the women just have the thickest thighs that you have ever seen, but then like slider up top. And they're also like very elongated, like the arms like almost like reach down, like the hands reach to the knees.
Yeah.
So it's a look, like it is a stylistic choice.
From what I picked up on, it seemed like it was like like something lore wise with your character, like your character has something wrong with them. It seemed, I'm not really sure. So maybe that's what they're going for.
In the bit that I played, like everybody on the ship that you're on is definitely like scared of you. And they're like,
they're very
the captain's
upset.
Like, go in the hold and sleep, and I will get you where you need to go, but I don't want to see you. Until
so that's pretty bold of them to like just be like, no, your character is going to look awful. Like I kind of appreciate that, but that's bold.
Yes.
So yeah, neat thing.
Yeah. Highly looking forward to that.
So I've been wondering what a bunch of noise is above me. Apparently the door of my oven just fell off, so I'm going to go handle the open oven thing before a pet gets in there.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
You're good. Oh, you gotta take off?
Yeah, I gotta go deal with whatever that is, but thank you guys so much for having me.
Anytime,
Brock,
man.
Well, before you go, where can they find you? Is there anything that you'd like to point them in the direction of?
This podcast, I'm at Brock Wilbur on everything until I'm not, when I finally nut up and leave these terrible, terrible loops of sadness that is social media. But for now, I'm there, and we'll find a way to continue being friends whenever the X place goes under.
You're right.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you, Brock.
Definitely would love to have you on again sometime.
I would love to come on again sometime. This is a delight. Justin, excellent to meet you.
Oh, excellent to meet you too, Brock. Yep. It's right. good to meet somebody who likes the same type of weird stuff and had the modded Xbox thing too. That is, I love our brotherhood of modded Xboxes, and that's what I appreciate.
We were once criminals, but now we spend a lot of money, so it's evened out.
It evens out. Yes. That's what I always say. Yep.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks,
all right,
man.
Thanks, Brock. Take care.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Pick up the phone. Hey there, handsome. We know what your biggest fantasy is. Call 1-900-909-HOME and speak with successful professionals who can tell you what it's like to own a house. Pick up the phone. Because if you were born after 1980, the chances of you ever owning your own home are slim at best. So call 1-900-909-HOME and live vicariously through the dreams of others. $2 for the first minute, 45 cents for each additional minute. What are you waiting for? Call now.
And now, for something hopefully better than whatever that just was.
The other thing that I tried Or did I try 3 things this week?
Did you try 3 things? I don't know.
Trying to think. I'll try to remember. Yes, I did try 3 things. But let me talk about this one first because I've spent more time on it. The last one I barely touched, but I still want to mention.
Fair.
Harold Halibut came out for Game Pass, which I had mentioned briefly when we were looking at like the games in the upcoming months that we were looking forward to.
Yeah.
This is that like stop motion style game that I had seen in an E3 it probably wasn't E3, it was probably like Summer Games Fest presentation where it was like, whoa, what is that? And then proceeded to completely forget about it. It in that way, and in a couple ways, it reminds me of the Artful Escape. That game with the guitar and everything, where I remembered seeing it and being like, whoa, what was that? And then the title just like not sticking in my head.
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised that I remembered it just now because it had a much longer title that was harder to remember. But even the Artful Escape, like when we were talking about that when it came out, I would forget.
If you would have quizzed me right now on what the name of that game was and described it in perfect detail, I'd have been like, oh fuck, what was the name of that game? I don't remember. You could have told me the entire plot and I'd been like, fuck, I don't remember the name of that game. And that's kind of the same thing here, right? Harold Halibut, not necessarily like the most evocative name. Yeah. Unless like I find the last name to be very interesting considering like the setting of the game. Well, it's fish, you know.
Right. Well, and you're on a planet that's mostly water, and so the premise is it's a pretty interesting setup. During the Cold War, there was so much like worry about like, you know, nuclear eradication that this company basically created and funded a giant exploration vessel to leave Earth and find a new home. Yeah. And as they did that, apparently in this version of events, like they were right to do so because Earth apparently eradicated itself with nuclear war. Like they got the last transmission of like, oh no, Earth's dead. So don't even worry about it. But you know, they went on this really long journey. I think it was like almost 200 years. Yeah. And when they got to the planet that they were, you know, planning to inhabit, they crash landed because there was actually like a bunch of shit in the atmosphere that, you know, hit the ship. And also like the actual, planet itself was like far less land than they were expecting. Right. Noxious chemicals in the atmosphere, right? So not a livable place, but thankfully, due to like the, you know, I guess the, not weather stripping, but like, you know, the insulation or whatever of the ship, right? Like it didn't implode when it sunk. Okay. Right? Like they were all fine, and they've actually kind of created a society in this ship, right? It was built for people to live on anyway, right? Okay. So they're just extending that, and you play Harold Halibut, who is basically like a maintenance guy, working in a lab, right? Okay. And it is very much in the vein of like an old point and click adventure. Like for PC. It is very much like that, but the more modern version of it, where obviously you have full control over the character. You're not managing like a big inventory of weird items that you're going to use to solve puzzles. It's not that type. It's definitely way more story focused. And it's super interesting. And so I heard this from Nextliner because I could not tell. In a lot of the shots, you will believe that it is actually just they made puppets and did stop motion for all of the animation. Right. And that is the game. But I think what they did is they made puppets and then scanned said puppets and then used those as the characters. But
that would make sense.
In any shot and in any scene, it looks like they are physical creations that you're interacting with. It is a very impressive look.
Yeah, that's impressive.
It looks really cool. Yeah. Like, you know, the eyes have that really nice, like, shininess because they look like marbles. Right. Or not marbles, but like they look like glass. Yeah. And it's definitely a vibes type game. It is as if Wes Anderson made a video game. Okay. It is very much that. Like like I only played it for about like a half an hour, maybe close to an hour, but it is so much like, like if you told me that the guy who made Rushmore and I forget the underwater one with Bill Murray.
The Life Aquatic.
The Life Aquatic, right?
Yeah.
Like very much
Okay.
that type of vibe. Like 100%.
What was the other one that person made? The flight, the Royal Tenenbaums.
Royal Tenenbaums. I mean, yeah, tons of movies, right? Like the Budapest Hotel.
I think so. I stopped watching them after the Life Aquatic, but I actually
kind of
really
started to fall off.
I really liked the Life Aquatic. I thought that movie was great. I don't know what it was about it.
Rushmore is one of my all-time favorite
Yeah,
movies.
it's also very good.
Yeah. But it's very much like that. And I think early on, and again, very early, I think right now, I have two sticking points.
Okay.
One is that so far I'm kind of like not liking the main character. He is like the type of shiftless layabout where it's like you kind of get like annoyed with him. Type of thing, and again, very early. So maybe that's just first impressions, and there's more there later on. Yeah, and it's the type of game where just by its nature, you want to be like clicking on things to get more like lore and information and stuff like that, and almost nothing in the environment is interactable. Yeah. And it feels weird. Like it's like, oh no, yeah, I should be able to go up to this console and see what this is, and he should say something about it. It's like, nope. No, that is not this. Like,
it is not that. Okay.
It's very much like, here's your tasks. Go do your tasks. Go talk to this person. Yeah. Right. It is slow. Like, okay. I will give you a pro tip right off the bat. Hold down the X button to run. Okay. Because even his running speed,
his run is like what it should, like the regular movement should feel like. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, it's one of those. And, you know, like there are times when I like that, right? There's times when I want like a really slow paced game, but this, even in like the first like hour, it was like, oh no, I've got to go back over here. And this is how he walks.
Yeah. So indie games have been having that problem for a while, I think, where they want, it's that like art house thing where you're like, no, I want people to like really take in the atmosphere here and see all this stuff, but it's also a video game and not a movie. So somebody has to actually, you know, interact with it. That one, I forgot the name of the game now. It was like a first person game. It was kind of a horror thing. It had a bunch of like big names in it. I think like Troy Baker did one of the voices and like, but it was a little indie thing. And like, oh, what the fuck was the name of that? It was like on a space station or some shit. Oh boy, it's gonna fucking bother me, but it doesn't matter. That was one of the biggest complaints people had about it was like, yeah, it takes forever to get anywhere in this game because they were like, no, we want you to go in and, you know, take in the atmosphere of this space station that they're on. And, you know, it's all about that. And it's like, yeah, but people have like, you made these like big open spots in them and people have to go around those spots and all they can do is walk very slowly. And that after a while gets really painful, you know?
It's one thing if you're only going to move through each space once and it's like a point A to point B situation.
That's one thing.
Once you bring backtracking into the scenario, no, you got to speed up.
Or exploration. Which that game had a little bit of, if I remember correctly. And so like then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go see what's over here. And it's like, oh, well, I didn't need to go over here. So I guess I got to go back or you're trying to find everything and actually take it in. And that's one thing that indie studios have kind of like, yes, I get what you're going for, but like people have to play it too. And you don't like the worst thing you want to come off as is annoying. Like that's the thing, you know?
And you're right. It is often an indie problem. And I think a lot of times, you know, I don't want to lump them all into the same.
No, absolutely not.
But you do kind of get a lot of sense in a lot of cases where they're too precious with their game, right? And they're like, no, but you don't understand. And it's like, well, yeah, I probably don't, but I also am playing a video game. Like I'll never forget Jonathan Blow in Indie Game the Movie. Yeah. Where he's talking about like this one puzzle in Braid. And you know, he's like, well, everybody just sees it as this, but don't you see how elegant it is with this, this, and this? And it's like, no, I don't, Jonathan. Yeah. Because I'm not a game developer.
Yeah.
And like, if that's what you were trying to get across in that particular scenario, then you failed. Like, I
Yeah.
just saw it as another thing to
Yeah.
conquer. And I did it. So
Don't you
no,
get it?
like-
You're not just moving blocks. You're moving, the world. It's like,
Right.
dude, shut up. Like, fucking, it's a block puzzle. Just fuck off. Like,
Yes.
you can't do this. And again, I can't. I respect the artistry and the intent behind
absolutely.
that stuff fully,
Yeah.
but at the
Yeah.
same time, like, people are gonna play it.
Yes.
and at some point somebody's go, why does it take so long to get to the other side of the room? And then there's like, but listen, it's very important that it takes an hour to get to the other end of the room so you can feel the fact that this character can't walk very fast. You're like,
Yeah.
I feel it and I don't want to feel it anymore. That's awful. There's a reason why those people are in a bad situation. I don't want to, like, that's not what I come to video games for. I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or you got to do it in small bits, right? Like, I am 100% a defender of crawling down the irradiated hallway in Metal Gear Solid 4, but it's short.
Yes.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. You can do it in bits, like that.
Yes.
You can be like, in this part we're gonna do this, and then we're like, or the ladder in Metal Gear Solid 3 or whatever, like
Yes,
that ladder
absolutely.
is amazing. Like, I love that.
It's
I love
incredible.
that shit. It's great.
The sheer audacity.
The
and
balls.
Kojima is like, we're going to play this entire song.
Yeah.
And so this just has to happen, and it's fucking brilliant.
At some point,
amazing.
You're like, this is happening, and you're going to accept it. And it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. They're doing it. That stuff's fine. Like, you can do it. You can do your artsy thing and make it work. You got to pick your spots. You can't make it your entire game. Like, that's a big thing, I think.
Yeah. So that's kind of like just a couple issues that I have right now, but
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see where it goes, because even in that short amount of time that I had with it, like, there was stuff that happened where I was like, oh yeah, this has the potential to go some places.
Okay.
This is very interesting. And then I cannot just describe how amazing it is. Such an interesting look to it, and also phenomenal soundtrack so far. Like, really kind of, top-notch production across the board. So,
All right.
Glad it finally came out. It's awesome that it's on Game Pass. It's definitely something that once I heard it was out, I would have picked up anyway, because it was something that I was looking forward to. But, Game Pass makes it a no-brainer. And then the other thing, before I talk about my final thing, well, I'll probably leave that for last. Got my copy of Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes.
Oh, hey.
This week. So it's just, I'm just jazzed that it came out. It is the second video game that I kickstarted, the other one being Bloodstained. So I have a pretty good track record for
so
betting
far.
on the good shit. Turns out that Konami really, dropped the ball with a lot of talented people.
Yeah, right. Seems that way, maybe.
Yeah, like I'm waiting for the Kickstarter campaign from like the original Team Silent, like all back together again.
Yeah,
to create like a new like horror game. And I'll probably back that too.
I mean, I will laugh if that's what the thing Kojima. He's like, no, I got them all here. They're here. Look, there they are. And I'd laugh so
That
hard.
would be so fucking baller.
That'd be pretty baller.
Like, oh man.
Yeah, like they just haven't
all the people
told
who
you
are going
yet.
to work on Silent Hills. Yeah, they're on this team.
Yeah, they're here. No, don't worry about it.
He did say that he has like a lot of other like people that he wanted to announce later that's working on this game.
Oh, I'm sure.
So,
Yeah. If you want to get people excited, that'd be the way to do it. But who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. I really just popped it in to like get a feel for it. Like, I haven't even gotten to my first battle yet, but it is a gorgeous game.
Yeah.
Like, just in the intro alone, I was thinking, I was like, man, I wish that I could take this game back to 16-year-old Julian and say, look what video games are now.
Hell yeah.
Because like, sure, I could take something like, name Horizon, right? Like any like amazing graphical powerhouse. And I could take that back and be like, whoa, look at what video games are now. And I'm sure I would have been impressed, but there's something about, especially like 16-year-old me, who was like very like still like, I was reading Die Hard Game Fan regularly and like, definitely drank that Kool-Aid of like, oh, Sony doesn't like 2D, and like they're like keeping these games from us in Japan that are amazing because they're not 3D. Like I was definitely on that train.
Right.
So like seeing this and taking it to that version of me and being like, yo, look, they're still making these and they look incredible. I would have been I wouldn't have had words back then. Like it is so beautiful, Justin. Like
I can't wait to play it. That's probably going to be a big thing I talk about next week because I'm very excited about that one. That and tennis. Oh God, what?
and it's one of those things where, you know, I mean, definitely you should wait for reviews, of course, blah blah blah. But like, I really feel that like anybody who likes RPGs, even, you know, to a moderate degree, just go ahead and pick this game up on whatever platform you want to pick it up on, because the creator of Suikoden, who started this Kickstarter, who had this idea, died 2 months ago. And like I think it would be sad. Like just a wonderful like tribute to him, and also just a wonderful middle finger to Konami. If this game did like well above expectations.
I hope so. I really, and also like I know Konami has it, but like I really want them to release all the Suikodens. Like I know they're doing the 1 and 2, but I really want 3, 4, and 5 as well. I know they're less popular, but those games are. I played the shit out of those like 4 and 5. I never got around to 3, which always bummed me out. I never played 3. That was
I played all the way through 3 and skipped 4 and 5.
Yeah, I owned 3 and I started it. But I think I had played 4 before it. I can't remember exactly how it went down, but like I kind of bought 3 later, like in my collecting thing. And
even at the time, 3 had kind of an underwhelming art style to it, and then 4 and 5 were better.
I think that's why I initially bounced off of it, and like I was like, this is weird for some reason, because I remember it booting up and it was kind of bouncing around a little bit, which is like a really weird thing for a Suikoden game to do. And
if memory serves, I think you have three
main characters. Yes, and you kind of bounces between them. I was like, what is happening here? Like, because normally, like, I played the original Suikoden like a lot of times now, and like you kind of know the format of those games. Like, okay, this is gonna happen, an event's gonna occur, and then you're gonna have all your little friends, and then you start building the army, and all this stuff happens. And that one's kind of like formatted a little different. And like now looking back, I'm like, I wish I'd have stuck through that because I want to know how that comes together, but I didn't. Because the other two go the format pretty much.
You know that I play a ton of RPGs, right? And so like they tend to blur together. But I still remember the ending of Suikoden 3 being pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. Like it went to a really cool spot. Like
it has its fans, I always for think sure.
Of it fondly.
Yeah, it has its fans for sure. And most people were like, 4 is when it started to go downhill. I was like, I kind of like 4 and 5. I don't know why. So yeah, I hope they put those games out again.
Me too.
In some form, that'd be nice. But yeah, man, I can't wait to play
Chronicles, this one. It's fully voiced, which I wasn't expecting. I think, you know, again, played it for like 30 minutes, but like one small criticism is that I kind of wish that like, because they show the character portraits like next to the dialogue boxes. I wish that they had like different portraits for like different facial expressions and stuff like that. But that's fine. You get the emotion from the voice acting.
That kind of helps. Yeah.
One thing that I thought was really cool, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this because I don't remember this from the old games.
All right.
But it's very much like Suikoden, obviously, right? Like six people in a party.
Yep.
You're going to eventually recruit a large amount of them. I'm sure not all of them are going to be battle characters because that's also like Suikoden, right? You would have people that were for the base.
That used to be the thing, yeah.
Yeah. But the way that like the party is set up is like blocks. So certain like larger and more powerful characters take up multiple blocks of the party.
No, that was not in the old games.
That's what I thought. And this is very cool to me because it means that like you might have a situation where it's like my party is 2 people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
but they're really powerful.
That's
people.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Do you always have to have the main character in your party, or no?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I would imagine so. And also, I said too. Like it said that like certain characters take 2 blocks. I don't know if there's anybody that takes 3.
Okay.
But at least there are characters that take 2. So
That's pretty
you
cool.
would, but you would still have like a smaller party, but
Yeah.
that could do bigger things.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like a really cool like
That's pretty neat.
wrinkle to the formula.
Yeah, that's different. I like that kind of a grid-based thing instead of like all they did before was like rows, and certain characters could only attack from the back row and and reach everybody. But if you had they had different ranges or whatever, like you had a short range character, you had to have them on the front because they couldn't reach the back without so on and so forth. And so you had to kind of be aware of that stuff.
It probably is that 2 slots is the maximum because they probably take up the front and back.
Yeah,
row.
Probably.
They're just that big.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But and I mean, you might have seen or maybe not. Like some of the character designs are just incredible. Like one of my favorites is this land shark.
I've seen the shark. Yeah.
Yes, he's amazing. So like I'm looking forward to digging into it. The only reason, like literally, as I was starting it, I was like, I can't do this right now. I've still got to finish Unicorn Overlord. And also, because I just finished Unicorn Overlord, like, I don't really want to hop into another Liberation,
I mean, it is together story. I get it. Yeah.
That's kind of unfortunate for Eiyuden Chronicles. But then again, I don't know that, I mean, Unicorn Overlord is selling well as far as like a vanillaware game goes, but it's not selling nearly as well as it deserves to.
Yeah,
so maybe it's not a big deal.
Yeah, but it's unfortunately for Unicorn Overlord, as much as you and I love it, it is kind of a niche thing. It just kind of is, that's it's probably not gonna, light the world on fire, but it light mine on fire, and that's fine. Sometimes you gotta light me on fire.
Do you have any other gaming stuff that you wanted to hit before I do closing thoughts on Unicorn Overlord?
No, not really. I played Balatro more because I've basically caught up to where I was on PC on the Xbox now. So that's fun. That game's still really good. It's just really good.
It's on the short list for me. For sure.
I just like keep booting it up sometimes when I get home from work, and I'm like, I just want to de-stress, and I'll just play Balatro and just be like, okay, that was good. Like I did a run today where I was just like, man, I was like, man, I don't think I've ever had a run quite this broken at the end of it. Like it was awesome. Yeah. Man, when things come together in that game, it's nice. When they don't, you're just like, yeah, I got screwed by the system. Start over, and then you're fine. Balatro, good video game. That's really all I got. Unfortunately, yeah.
No, that's fine. Yeah. I think this is before that we actually recorded. Like, I definitely saw you on Rise of the Ronin.
Oh, Rise of the Ronin. Yeah.
I was surprised.
Yeah, I'm still playing it. I got to the second area. And it just keeps going. There's really that game is just weird, man. Like it's just weird. Like I said, we burned a Britishman's house down. They were upset about it. I will give this game this with its atmosphere. Like I said, it was kind of like an ugly game before, and it is. But it does do some interesting things that I've never like. You were talking about like I'm really kind of sick of this time period, but I guess I've never really like seen one quite like go all in on the historical aspect of it. Where like you're walking around like that era of Japan, and like on occasion you'll just come across like this big white English Victorian house that someone built, and you're like, that is just very out of place. And like, I imagine like that was probably based on a real thing that it happened at the time or something. And it's
I can totally.
Yeah. It's kind of like wild because it's just like everything else is exactly how you expect it to be. And then you just like turn a corner and there's just this weird manor in the middle of nowhere. You're like, man, that's out of place. I could only imagine. And I'm like, they did a good job with that, I think. Like, I'm sure that, I don't know how it is. I wasn't around in 1800s Japan, and I know it's hard to believe. But it's kind of wild, man. But
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, but other than that, like it's the same game. I keep like now. I've gotten kind of the point where they're like, "Here's some more combat stuff," and I'm like, "That's just fun." Like I said, I got like some ninja techniques and stuff now that I was doing, and that was fun. But really, like, other than that, it's that game. You're just running around chopping dudes up. Occasionally, like the enemies keep getting funnier. Like they just put Voldo in the game. Like there's just a Voldo there.
Sure.
Like he's just there, and I was like, okay, why not? Why wouldn't Voldo be here? I mean, he dresses a little bit classier than Voldo, but it's Voldo. And then there's like a man that I just keep calling Paul Bunyan. Like there's just a Paul Bunyan enemy that just has 2 axes and it's just a brick shit house, and you got to fight them. And it is always funny when you stab a man in the neck and they just turn around like, why did you do this to me? That was inappropriate. And then you have a fight.
That was one of the things that made me bounce off of Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah,
was that thing.
Yeah,
I was like, no, I stabbed that dude in the neck. He should go down.
No, have a fight now. He's upset at you about it. That's really it. That's Rise of the Ronin. I'll probably just keep playing it on occasion. It's one of those games. I haven't played it in a couple days now. And I'm like, but I could just pick it up because it doesn't matter. Like, there's nothing in it. I don't care what's going to happen. Like, I'm not like, oh, I got to know what's going to happen with this weird cat lady that I keep finding cats for. You got to sneak up on the calicos, Julian, because they get afraid of you.
But combat wise is the type of game where you would worry about, like, if you put it down for too long, that it would be kind of hard to like get back in.
Not really. It's just parry timing, which is just like, hey, can you press Y at the when you're about to get hit? You're perfect. Don't worry about it. It's like, yeah, okay. Yeah,
I worry about that I worry that I've been away from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth too long now, because like that combat is pretty stacked.
I've been heavily considering going back into that too, and that was kind of the other thing I was thinking about doing recently, was getting back into there. As there's a video game thing I'll talk about. I have been digging around on the soundtrack of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, because it kind of came out or whatever. It's good for the most part. Listening to
I like it a lot more than the remake soundtrack.
Yeah,
but there's some tracks that I cannot fucking stand.
Oh no, there's some track. No, I'm wholeheartedly with you. And actually, there's some like classic tracks that I like don't think are as good now as they used to be. Like I'm not super high on like any of the Genova stuff. I don't know what it was about Genova in the original Final Fantasy soundtrack, like that just the way that track sounded. It was like very otherworldly. There's a early Genova encounter that sounds like that song's pretty cool, and then there's like one later on in the soundtrack that I was like, I don't know about this one though. So it's kind of hit or miss with a lot of the classic tracks. But what I have noticed is there's and I have to look up the name real quick. There's one guy that I'm kind of like, I'm pretty into what this guy is doing. Mitsuto Suzuki. He was I believe he did like, before this he did like Mobius, like Final Fantasy Mobius.
Oh, okay.
And
the mobile game.
Yeah, 13-2 and Lightning Returns. I don't think he was the sole composer on it, but he did stuff on it. I don't know if he was the sole composer on any of the things, and he's not here either. But he's making a lot of like those jazz tracks you're hearing. And I'm like, I remember like when Intergrade came out, and I was like, man, this fucking jazz shit in the middle of this is awesome. Like, where did this come from? Because they just threw it in there for like a chase scene in there. And that this is the guy that's making that. He also makes like a lot of like, he made the that song where you walk into the bald bar or whatever.
That is one of my favorite parts of the whole game.
Yeah, so
everything about that moment is just perfect.
A lot of it feels like a lot of the like the stuff that's like not on the original soundtrack, wasn't in the original game, that they had to make new stuff for. He's kind of been doing a lot of it, and I'm kind of like into a lot of it.
Now, Do you know if he did the theme songs for Kyrie and Solemn Gus? Because if he did, then he's committed war crimes against me.
He might have done. Let's see, he might have, but it's a little all over the place. There's one there's one that he did that I love that I think you've definitely done this moment because I just recently did it. It's the bit where you climb Coral Mountain, like you get there and like everybody's going up it. He did that song, and if you like just listen to that song by itself, it sounds great. Like that song,
I remember really
awesome.
digging that one.
Yes, they did that one. That let me see, Solemn Gus. I know he did. Oh boy, this is great radio right here. I don't know if he did that one or not, but.
Because so far, the only stuff that I've really hated from the soundtrack has been those two theme songs and the overworld music in the Junon area outside of the actual like Junon town.
Yeah.
I've been listening to NoCat do their unedited playthrough of Rebirth, and so I've been able to focus more on the music there because like I'm not actively playing.
Sounds right.
And the Junon song is so. The loop is so tight and it's so repetitive.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then just repeat. And I fucking hate it, Justin.
No, you know what's funny? The guy that did the Gus Funk and the Junon region music are one and the same, I believe. And we'll just leave their name out of it. How's that? No, but Mitsudo Suzuki, he did all the Queen's Blood like jazz tracks that are on there.
Queen's Blood song is very good.
It's very good. He
now that I've heard it, because I did not hear it in my playthrough, but I've heard a lot of it on NoCat.
Yeah. There's some stuff he did. From what I'm observing, I'm guessing it's a lot of stuff in the Gold Saucer with like some lyrics and stuff. It sounds like it fits the occasion, but I don't know what's happening and I don't want to know. So yeah, stuff like that. But pretty good soundtrack overall.
The main Gold Saucer theme is slightly less grating than the original.
I have to agree with that. Yeah. And
not, I don't think it's quite as good as the Final Fantasy 14 version.
Yeah.
No, it actually might be because it's not, because even the Final Fantasy 14 version, like you spend enough time in the Gold Saucer there and it's gonna make you want to, shove a pencil in your ears. And I don't think the one in Rebirth does that for me.
When it comes to like certain things like on the soundtrack, especially like the classic stuff like that they're redoing, like some things they do really good on. Like I really like the theme in Calm. Like I think it's perfect. And then like you get to things like Sid's theme, which is one of my favorites, like from back on that original soundtrack, because like it's just really bombastic, and it gets to the part where I'm like, all right, here we go, this is the bit, and like the horn's supposed to come in, and it kind of just like mutters in, and I'm like, oh no, that's not how that's supposed to go. That's like, and I feel like it was like a MIDI thing, like we could only have this level, and it just kind of punches really loud, but like this is how we wanted it to go. I'm like, no, but it should have been louder, guys. That's how it was. I don't know.
I've also noticed that kind of like they did with Remake, it's like there's certain things that they can't wait to get to, so they just put it earlier in the game where it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So like, I think it's the Mithril Mine, like the actual like music there is the music that you hear like later in the game in like the Land of the Ancients or whatever, like that real mysterious. Oh, you would know it once you heard it, but. Like I always associate it with later in the game in the original.
It might. I think the Mithril Mine has its own thing. You have to remember though that even if you might be mentally associating it with something later on in the game, but like a lot of tracks
shows earlier too.
A lot of tracks did repeat in that in the original soundtrack. So that might be the case, but like I think I know which one you're thinking of, and it only plays in one spot, and that's the Temple of the Ancients in the original game. And
that's what that's why I'm thinking that it's that situation here where like no, but we want you to hear it now, because they did that a lot. I mean, my biggest complaint in Remake is that like you should not be hearing like whispers of one-winged angel at the beginning of this game.
Yeah, no, that was we saved this for the end, and it was kind of it was a little off-putting. Like, because it's funny, like Sephiroth kind of has his own different theme throughout the original game. Like it's that it's almost like that bell chime or whatever, like boom, and then the heartbeat. Mm-hmm. It's that song. Like that was kind of his song, like the entire game. And then you get to the final boss fight, and then it gets, then you're like, oh shit, all right. But yeah, you're right. They couldn't wait to get to it because it became too big. It became big. It's a big thing.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting that you brought that up because I've been thinking about this. I mean, I haven't gone back to the game yet, but there's certain things that I'm wondering how this is actually going to end up ultimately playing out with the final piece. Because obviously, and you and I had talked about this in our spoiler cast for Remake, but like the fact that like they kind of already blew their wad with Sephiroth in the first part. Yeah. Right? Like it complete with recreating like the final clash in the original game. Yeah. So it's like, well, what do you even do there? But I was thinking more like from a broader perspective now, like because they've packed so much into Rebirth as far as like activities and things to do. Yeah. You are still going to be traversing those areas in the third game just by nature of the third part.
Yeah, and I wonder how they're gonna how things are gonna play out there. I imagine it'll be
Are you gonna have to rediscover everything like that?
I don't know. Weird. I don't think that and that might be weird. I'm not sure how they're gonna go about that. I know there's a way you could play it though. And I'm guessing that is because the weapons haven't shown up yet. If the timeline that I'm thinking of goes the way it is, like they haven't shown up yet. So, like, you can kind of be like, hey, you're going to go back to some of these areas, but they're going to be really fucked up and different now because this happened. So,
yeah, they could do it like the Dark Aeons in Final Fantasy X.
You could almost do like a World of Ruin type situation. Maybe not quite to that extreme, but like, like you can kind of go an interesting route with that. So, there's some ways they can play that and still make it work. So we'll see. I'm curious how they do all that. But anyway, Final Fantasy VII soundtrack pretty good. I've been listening to a lot of that. It's overall pretty good. I enjoy it. But like I said, certain things that I'm like, this is one of my favorite tracks that I hear, and I'm like, but then again, I hold some of them to too high a standard, especially Sid's theme, because I'm like,
I get it.
I hold this very highly in my mind, and then I go and because then I go and listen to the original one right after it. I'm like, yeah, no, this one still just works better for me. I don't know why.
No, man. So, like, that classic music is very precious. And I think that's why I appreciate Soken on 14 so much, because anytime that he revisits a classic track, he knows exactly how to update it and still retain the original feel.
Doing that stuff is not easy. Like I wouldn't want that. I would not want that. Like I wouldn't want that responsibility on my shoulders with assholes like me listening to it. Like I'd be like, oh fuck, I gotta please this fucking douchebag. Jesus Christ, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been me in video games this week. Next week, like I'm counting the days kind of till Eiyuden Chronicle. I'm really looking forward to playing that and tennis.
Yes. I was going to pull the trigger on Dragon's Dogma 2 today, but I ended up sleeping instead.
Yeah, I thought about playing something small myself, and I slept instead. So what are you gonna do? Yeah.
It's funny because I get off at 2:30 on Fridays, which is awesome. Like that's like a really cool benefit of my new job. But that's recording day, and invariably I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and this, and it's like I sleep.
Yep. Sometimes you got to Shaquille O'Neal the situation. What are you going to do?
That's right. Anastasia Silver is a substitute teacher who is hungry for a Subway sandwich. Little did she know that her life would change that day. I'd like a chicken teriyaki, please. Christian Slate is a sandwich artist with very singular tastes. I have very singular tastes, Miss Silver. I will tell you how you want your sandwich. How did you know my name? Shh. Here's your sandwich. It's the erotic tale that has middle-aged housewives all across America slightly flustered. I just never knew how freeing it could be to just let the sandwich artist take over like that. It was intense. See the movie, based on the books, based on the fan fiction, based on some other books, that dare to ask what happens when a submissive substitute teacher goes to Subway for lunch. 50 Shades of Subway, coming soon to a theater near you.
The stage select is made possible through the support and funding of viewers like you. Here are our wonderful patrons.
Well, before we get into the final bit of the show, Justin, I think we should thank some patrons.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Every week we like to thank our executive producer tier. This week we have Bookie.
We have Casey Curran.
We have David Portnov.
We have X-Rian.
We have Matt Jorgensen, no longer a clever nickname. I'm disappointed.
Oh, sometimes he doesn't have a clever nickname. We have Philip P.K. Becker.
We have Stephen Lobo.
And we have Xavier Krager.
Yes. Thank you to our wonderful patrons. You can check out our Patreon in the link tree in the show notes. Every little bit helps out, and got some stuff planned, coming out. I had the idea to like, we have like the raw Skype calls from like all of these episodes. And I was like, I should cut together like the preamble shit, from a couple episodes as like a bonus. That we always get into like some fun stuff before the show and after the show.
Yeah. For sure.
That's always some fun stuff to do.
Well, Julian,
yes.
I don't know if you have anything planned for this bit.
But I have one last thing, but we can definitely do other things before that.
Okay, well, that's good. Well, you know what? We might have to do a couple things before there's one last thing, because if there's one last thing, we gotta. Oh,
well, I mean, there's also questions, comments, concerns. So we've got.
Okay, so we got a couple things. Okay, all right,
yes.
good, excellent. Well, it might be time now that we
Ask Sherwin Williams.
Oh, yes, thank you. I completely forgot.
I think maybe people will have some questions for him. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to go get him real quick. So hold on. Sherwin, you want to come in here? Hi, I'm Sherwin Williams. It's nice to be here.
It's nice to meet you, Sherwin.
Yeah. I hear people may have some questions for me, and that's why it might be time to
Ask Sherwin Williams.
It is. I'm actually really glad you're here.
Yeah,
we've got a few questions for you. These actually came from our Discord.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna have to.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
Oh, you don't want to know.
Oh, okay.
It's a bad part of the internet, Sherwin.
Well, what are you gonna do?
Hive of scum and villainy over there.
Yeah. I don't use the internet, but that's fair.
Oh, this might be difficult for you then, but we'll see.
Okay, fair.
All right. First up, I'm not going to go in order. Right? There's a certain escalation to these.
Okay, all right, that's good.
We'll start easy.
Okay.
This comes to us from anyone2643.
Okay.
Why is paint so expensive? Is it laced?
Oh, well, that's a great question. Anyone. Is it the real name that they're using on the internet? Is that
yes,
how that?
God given.
Oh, well.
Well, not God. I guess God doesn't give you your name. No, legally binding name that they use on all of their documents.
Good. That's good. That's I don't know. Well, God, he works in mysterious ways, and sometimes he puts numbers after our name. But is paint? Why is paint so expensive? Well, first, we here at Sherwin Williams, we only provide the highest quality of paint, and the price reflects that, and we have our sales, and we have some of the best paint that you can buy on the market, and we stand behind that. Is our paint laced? I would say it's laced with color. Color. So,
Okay.
you know, we're here to change your world and help you, you know, add color to your world.
Yes.
I don't have a PR person with me, so you know I can't really fall
this is
back
great.
on them.
No, this is I prefer to deal with the real people and not PR. So
yeah. You know, I that's how I like to run my business. I stand behind what I say, and you know that's how this works. Yeah.
All right. Well, next question comes from Extrian.
Okay.
What flavor of paint tastes the best?
Oh well, you probably shouldn't be eating paint. That's a little bad, don't you think? Yeah, for legal reasons, I can't answer this question. Actually, I'm very sorry.
You should be proud of the fact that your paint has less lead in it than a Lunchables, though.
Well, it doesn't have any lead in it, Julian.
Exactly, it has less lead than Lunchables.
Well. Exactly. This is why our paint is the best on the market, and I stand by that. Really, I do.
Yes.
As for what it tastes like, don't eat paint. That's a bad idea. I know they call them chips, but the friendly folks over at Lay's, they have much better chips for you to enjoy. Don't eat paint.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any other questions? Okay.
Yes. This actually we have a few from Matt.
Okay.
So we'll start off with his first question.
Okay.
Why are you such a piece of shit, Sherwin? Huh?
Oh. Okay. We're gonna come at Sherwin Williams like this. Okay. All right. I see how we're doing. Okay. All right. You know, I don't need to answer that shit. What else you got for me?
His next question. Did you steal my lawn gnome, Sherwin? If stale sweet tarts were a person, they would still be better than you, gnome thief.
Motherfucker, don't nobody want your busted ass garden gnomes. What the fuck you think you're doing? Don't nobody want that shit. Who you think stealing your? Why you even have garden gnomes? What the fuck are you doing with your life, man? Come on now. No. What else you got? What else you got?
Okay. Well, Matt's on a little bit of a tear, so he has another one.
This motherfucker. All right. Okay.
He says, what's it like being the active enemy of the proletariat, Sherwin? With your shoddy overpriced paint and your weird logos, you're the awkward conversation with the judgy lady at DMV about how you got there with an expired license personified.
Fuck this motherfucker trying to come at me with this shit for? Who the fuck does this motherfucker think he is? All right, listen. Enemy of the proletariat. Motherfucker, I don't even know what that word means. You think I read fucking books? What the fuck do you think this is? How they gonna come at me like this? All I'm trying to do is provide high quality paint, motherfucker, at good quality prices for so that I'm trying to cut. You know what, Matt? You motherfucking cut off. You ain't getting no more paint. Fuck you. What you think? Me and these other paint stores don't talk? Motherfucker, you cut off. You go to get fucking, you gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna paint my daughter's room and it's gonna be seafoam green, motherfucker. It's gonna be brown. That's all you get. Brown paint, motherfucker. Come at me like this. What else you got? Anything else?
Well, I have more questions from Matt, but is he cut off from questions?
No. What's this motherfucker got to tell me? No. Come on.
He says, was it wholly necessary to cut off that old lady at Walgreens, Sherwin? You mystery stain on your favorite shirt looking ass. Okay. Matt, here's what you're going to do, all right? You're going to roll up into your neighborhood Sherwin Williams store, and you're going to be like, hey, I'm Matt. I'm here to get dealt with. I'm going to show up out the back. We're going to deal with your ass, all right? Come on in, motherfucker. That's all I'm saying. What else you got? One final one from Matt.
Okay.
He says, hey, Sherwin, why do you take all the pennies in the take a penny, leave a penny cup? It's your fault Taco Bell only gives you one sauce packet.
Taco Bell is fucking bullshit, and you know that shit. What the fuck are you coming at me with this bullshit for? Take a penny, leave a penny. Motherfuckers don't even do that shit no more. Nobody uses fucking cash. What are you in fucking 1993? Motherfucker, get out of here with that bullshit. I'm done with y'all motherfuckers. I'm leaving. Jesus Christ, man, he fucking got the hell out of here. Really? What happened?
Oh man, that was brutal. Like like I did what you asked, Justin. I put the Ask Sherwin Williams channel in the Discord for people to ask nice questions to Sherwin Williams. It devolved immediately into just them talking among themselves. Also, I got to say, the same thing happened in questions, comments, and concerns. So both of these threads are now useless as far as the podcast is concerned.
No, keep doing it. It's great. That's funny to me. I've been paying attention to the Discord. I may not say much, but I'm there reading it because I'm like, it's fun. Well, you guys really pissed Sherwin Williams off. It's going to take a lot for me to get him to come back in. But if you got anything you would like to
ask Sherwin Williams,
you hit the Discord up and, we'll see if we can get him back in, You
can also email. The email is thestateselectpod@gmail.com. You can hit us up either way. But I mean, look, like you had the chance to ask Sherwin Williams, the man himself, right? And man, like I don't know if we can get him back. It might just have to. We might have to talk to the PR guy next time.
He's cool with me. Me and Sherwin, we go back a ways. We're
okay. So you can smooth it over.
Yeah, it'll be all right. No, it'll be fine.
Just gotta let him cool down. He was hot.
I mean, he does run a little hot sometimes. He kind of listen. He likes to fight. He goes to the bars every now and then. And he gets a few too many in him. He's gonna have a little Donnybrook, little tiny Donnybrook with some guys.
Have a Tilly. Yeah. Okay.
A little bit of a tiff. He's got a whole crew of guys that just do nothing but lift paint cans all day. They're tough boys. Yeah. That's what he calls them, the Sherwin Williams tough boys. So yeah.
All right. Well, that happened.
That did happen.
I have one last game. It is Unicorn Overlord. Look, my closing thoughts. I finished the game, guys. I got the platinum. This is the last we're talking about it, probably until Game of the Year. There are things that I could say that I'm not going to say because it's one of those things where I need to let it settle. But this has the potential to be an all-timer for me.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Holy shit, man. Like I did everything, right?
Yeah.
Like I got everything. I fought every fight. I got every character. That is one minor complaint that I have. Well, there's a few things that I haven't really talked about previously. So one, and it's a big one for me. And actually I was reading Shelton's blog and he bumped the difficulty up, but from reading his blog, it changes the things in a way that I'm not actually that interested in.
Okay.
I do wish that this game had some sort, like, not necessarily like a permadeath thing a la Fire Emblem.
Oh, right.
But maybe an injury thing where units would be like taken out of a battle for a little bit because you get a shit ton of characters and like more than you can conceivably use. And
sometimes, you get to a certain point where you're just like, and I don't have any room for this guy. But
exactly.
It would be,
And I don't, I'm sure this is the same for you. It's probably the same for everybody. I think you get to a certain point where you find a group and it's like, this is the group.
Yep.
Right. And it would be cool if like you were forced to play around with that more.
Yeah.
To be like, well, no, like this person's out for 2 battles.
Right.
So let me substitute someone else and see what happens.
I agree. I really wish they would have kind of done something like that. Because you get to a certain point where you're just like, and I'll just send them in and they'll handle everything for me. And nothing bad will happen. And that's just like, they're just, there's a certain level of fun to that though. But there's also like, I wish like, you're right. It does kind of at a certain point, you're like, well, it would be nice to like be kind of forced to switch things up. I kind of understand why they don't do that, mainly because like you have so much openness as to where you can go. So if there was certain points in the story where it's like, okay, well this happened to this character and they don't come back until this point in the story, but also there's these other side quests over here that you can go do, and then you go do those without that. I don't know. I guess I don't know. It's tough. That's a tough balance to hit, I think.
I was thinking more along the lines of like it would probably have to be like an entire unit goes down, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, it's pretty common for like one or two characters to go in certain situations. Like, I definitely got to a point where like that wasn't happening, but every once in a while, it's like like your Griffin Knight runs afoul of like 3 archers, and so they're just not going to make it to the end of that. Right. They're going to win the skirmish, but like that one character is going to go down.
Yeah.
But maybe if a thing where like the whole unit goes down, then like the leader of the unit is out, and so then you have to like substitute someone else. You know, something along that line. Or the other thing that I think would have been cool is if they did a la Final Fantasy Tactics, where you could send troops away on missions where they're not available to you for X number of time,
right?
But they're going to get experience and they're going to bring back cool stuff.
That would be cool.
Because that would make you it would force you to shake things up.
They sort of they dabble in. I bet at one point the fact that you could set town guards, I bet at one point it was set to permanent, and somebody went,
it feels like that.
It maybe maybe it's a bit much if you can't use them, you know. Yeah. So and they backed off.
There's so many towns,
right?
that
and so the fact that
I
it was
ran
just
out like I got to a point where I couldn't station people anymore.
Yeah, you'll get there. It happens. Absolutely. But it's a tough balance to achieve. Now, I will say this. I don't know if you remember me talking about this game. There was a game, it was an indie game that kind of had a similar thing with Unicorn Overlord. It was I gotta remember the name. Hold on. But it basically was like no, it was Ogre Battle and like Fire Emblem mixed together.
I do remember that.
Yeah. It's one of those games that really has an unfortunate name. Symphony of War. That's the one. It was basically it was just Fire Emblem meets Ogre Battle. So all your Fire Emblem units were basically like these tile based, like this guy hits long range, does this thing. It didn't have quite the level of control over what, you know, order people did everything and all that stuff like Unicorn Overlord does, but it had its own thing going on, and it was really cool. The way they handled the troop thing was you had a unit leader, and I don't think they could permanently die, but everybody that wasn't like a leader could die. So all of your backup units, if they died, you had to then spend money to get them back. So the idea was like, okay, if I don't want to lose all these troops, but it's a Vanillaware game. So you have this thing where it's like, well, but we have all these cool characters that we made and we want people to see them. Yeah. So it gets really tough, you know, like it's really tough.
Yeah, because my initial thought was like permadeath, but I was like, no, I don't want that because like these characters are too cool.
Yeah,
but something that forces me to really have to shake things up because like I would love to compare, like I would love to see like what your unit compositions were compared to mine because I know that they're a lot different because like my big unit, like they probably killed more people than Elaine's unit.
Yeah,
was the one that I told you about that was led by Aubin, the House Carl.
Yeah,
but I paired him with this Griffin Knight that you get about midway through the game, and then I had a cleric who would keep Aubin alive because he, you know, like I said, he's a glass cannon, so he goes down pretty quickly unless you stop that. And then Rolf, the first archer you get, and I had set his thing up, and then I think. I kept switching out the fifth one because I didn't really find anything until the very end where I had a Dark Knight, which is like a cavalry guy that sacrifices his hit points to do more damage. Yeah. Usually he wouldn't even get to attack because Aubin, the Griffin Knight, and Rolf would take care of everything.
Yeah.
Because Aubin, his first move would take out the first row almost every time, even if they were like the armored guys.
Yeah.
And then I had Rolf set up to where he would always attack the back row with his row shot. So like any healers, archers, mages, they're going down in one hit.
Right.
And also he had a pursuit thing. So, and that was the other thing, right? So if Aubin's first attack didn't take out the first row, then Aubin would follow up And if the guy was still alive, then my Dark Knight would follow up again.
Yeah.
And then he'd die, right? And then the Griffin Knight would do another row attack that would finish off the front row if they were still standing. And then Rolf fires, and then it's over. And it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like they hit level 50 at like across the board in the final battle because they had just done so much previously. It was so much fun. Like, and yeah, I kind of steamrolled the game, but I feel that was done because I really understood the mechanics, right?
You went in there and you tinkered really around and did all that stuff. That's kind of how it always felt.
Yeah, and even with that, I still maintain that I think it's got like a near perfect difficulty ramp because every new region that you go to is like, yo, here's this new thing that seems broken as fuck.
Yeah, that's
gonna mess you up.
Yeah,
but you have the tools already to deal with it. You just have to pay attention to what you're equipped with, what your party makeup is.
I always appreciated that they'd kind of preview that when you'd get to a new area. Like there's just little almost like random encounters, but not really. Like there's just guys on the map. It's like, okay, here's this guy. You're gonna fight him, and you can kind of like test out like what your guys are gonna be doing against these like kind of new things, and like that always worked out. Because I remember getting to Furryland and being like, oh, I might need to restructure a little bit, like
because one of the things that the game especially throws at you once you get to Furryland, which is like, the next to last region, is that I guess you could do this if you wanted to spin the honors on it. I never did. I liked using the actual named characters, but they will throw units at you with like multiple versions of the same class in that unit, right? So like when you get to Furryland, it's like the werewolves, they will always follow up an attack.
Yeah.
And so you are all of a sudden you're in a situation where the first person attacks and then you're getting 4 follow-up attacks after that. And if you're still standing after that, cool, because it's going to happen again the next time or when the second person attacks.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit, these guys are getting like so many turns before I can even do shit.
Right.
But there's an answer for that, right?
Yeah.
And then you get to the final area and it's like, there's these multiple a lot of the units you'll fight have multiple archers.
Oh, yeah.
That preemptively blind you before you attack. And it's like, okay, so like my first like 3 moves are invalidated.
Just don't do anything. Yep.
But there's an answer for that. And you already have it. Like you probably already have it like in your equipment. You just have to go and equip it. Right?
Yeah, you just got to look around and figure out what you got to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just friendly PSA to anybody who plays this, and I highly recommend people play this.
Yeah.
When you get to the final battle, and it's super obvious that it's the final battle.
Yeah.
Make sure you've got a good 4 hours set aside.
It's a pretty lengthy one. Yeah.
That battle is long, and the ending is long.
Yeah.
So like, I got off work, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll wrap up the final battle and then I'll make dinner because I was like, yeah, it'll probably be like,
they really saved a lot of shit for that.
Yeah. And then by 8:00, the battle, I was only halfway through and I was like, fuck, I gotta cook.
Yeah.
And so thank goodness for like mid-battle saves and also rest mode.
Yeah, I think if I remember right, there's like kind of like a midway point in it too, like where you get to a certain point and then it's like, okay, now you do this, and then and then
that's kind of where I got up to, where I was like, okay, this is a good place to stop for now before I make this final push, and then and so then I made dinner, ate dinner, got back on probably at like a little before 9, and like I didn't see the end, like the game saying we're finished until 11:30.
Right, that sounds about right. Yeah. Yeah. Who did you marry, Julian? I'm just curious.
It ended up being Scarlet.
Okay, well, fair.
Which is really boring. But actually, so I do have a question.
Okay.
I'm not, and I'm going to talk around it.
Okay,
but
that's fair.
Was Berengaria with you, like, for the final, like, bits of, like, the game? That's interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because marrying Scarlet, like, it also just makes sense, like, narratively.
Yeah, no,
like,
it does.
What's going on.
That's why I was like, no, I'm not going to do this. No, let's see how this goes. Like, the other choice that I almost made was the half-elf girl, because I thought she was cool.
She was cool.
Yeah, I can't remember what her name is right now.
Ridiel.
That's it. Yeah.
And her mom's name is Rydia, like spelled exactly like the Final Fantasy IV character.
Right. Yeah. I thought she was cool. So that was I had her, the witch girl. I had a couple different ones that I seen all the marriage scenes with them because I was like, why not? It's there. I'll just sit here and watch them real quick. And then I was like, well, we're going to go with this one because that's the one I want. And no, they show up in the ending and everything. Like it's kind of, even if you do that thing where you can change how they look, that the look stays there too. Like they don't go to like the default sprite or anything, which I was kind of impressed with. Cause
you can change the look of like the main characters.
Yeah, you actually can.
Oh, I thought those mirrors were just for the ones that you recruit from the fortresses.
I did too, but no, I was like, let me just try it. And no, you can totally change the colors of every character in that game. Like, so like I made Berengaria look more in line with like what my main army looked like and stuff like that. Like, cause I was like, why not? I'll give her like the kind of stuff Elaine's doing, and like we'll be a fucking team. God damn it!
Right.
And so I did that.
That's neat.
Yeah.
The last little bit of praise that I'll give it, and then we can move on.
Okay.
Is I told you this before, like off mic, but like I love how much you can punch above your weight class if you're smart.
Yeah.
I got Amalia in the Coliseum when I was level 30.
Yep.
And she's level 40.
Yep.
And that just felt really cool. Like she did not level again until the final battle because like she was just over leveled for everything.
Right. Yeah.
And that was really cool. Oh, and the other thing that I liked, man, I could just go on for days.
Yeah.
My favorite thing to do was to take what I felt were useless characters and turn their unit into a fucking beast.
That was always
Lex,
fun.
I complained about him early on. Oh no, Lex's unit became fucking clutch for me.
Yep. That's how it goes. Yeah, it's fun, man.
I know that Vanillaware does not make sequels. Like the closest you can get to that is Odin Sphere. Wait, let's see. Yeah, Odin Sphere is kind of like a sequel to Princess Crown, which was their first game on Sega Saturn that we never got over here.
Yeah.
That's like the closest thing that you can come to. I want them to make a sequel to this so badly, dude. Like, they could reuse all of the sprites and just like set it in a different region.
Yeah.
And like maybe throw in one or two new units and have new abilities, and I'm golden. I'm fine. Like, I finished the game and I wanted more.
Yeah. Oh, I know. That's what I mean. That was one of the things I complained. I was like, I wish there was more to do when I finished the game because I would have kept playing it. Like, absolutely. There's that one thing that you can do, like the one little final battle thing after the final battle that you can go do.
Which, again, was not prepared for how long that was going to be.
That one is
Last
a
night,
long one, yeah.
I was like, okay, let me just mop up this trophy or this platinum real quick. And it's like, oh, that was the entire evening.
Yeah. Yep. That one is quite a lengthy one.
Yes.
But still, you get a lot of cool stuff out of it, and like the stuff that it gives you, I was like, ooh, I wonder like how like where I could fit these guys in now.
Yeah, but there's but
there's nothing
to do it for, except Coliseum battles. But
yeah, I guess you could do the final battle again, and I was like, I don't want to do that. But yeah, so what are we? Yeah, but yeah, great game. I really liked it. Yeah, I'm glad you did too. That's cool.
I could see myself revisiting it on a higher difficulty later on.
Oh, I still have it installed on my Xbox, and every now and then when I look at it, I'm like, I could play that right now. I'd be all right with it. Yeah, it's like, so
and going for the platinum was really cool because it was like there's a lot of the parts of that game that are very bite sized. So like you know, because you had complained about like the treasure map finding. And stuff like that. You have to go mining to find the map and then go find the thing. But like that ended up being the perfect thing to do on breaks and lunchtime, like throughout the week.
Yeah.
Also, I think you mentioned you complained about like that big like lore dump at the end, but I also kind of spaced that out over time.
Yeah.
So it wasn't
I did that all in one shot where I was like, all right, let's go to all of them now. And I was just like, oh boy, good God, shut up, ancient spirits. I don't care.
Well, and I got to say, like, so the actual, like, and I wanted to be, you know, I kind of wanted to, like, revisit, like, a complaint that you had. I think the overall story is meh. right? Like
It's very meh. Yeah.
But I think that the localization and the dialogue as written and the voice acting is excellent.
Yeah.
Like I think 8-4 did another phenomenal job. They're also the ones who did the localization for Fire Emblem Awakening, which, hey, that's like my favorite Fire Emblem. So,
Yeah.
you know, like they know what they're about.
Yeah, they do a great job. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, all of that stuff
it is a pretty
totally fine.
like a boilerplate, like liberation type.
Yeah,
story.
It's the story. It's
Yeah.
not like the localization or anything like that. It's just the story is just kind of what it is, you know. Like
Yeah. It's fine. I think another like slight complaint about it is that like the big bad is like very much like the big bad at the very beginning of the game, and then you kind of don't hear from him again for a really long time.
And then yeah, that's really it. Like there's no you get there and you're like, I guess we're gonna fight this guy now. Cool, all right.
Yeah,
I don't really care, but yeah,
I would have liked to have encountered him more often, like throughout the,
you know,
the game,
make some tension or make you really dislike. There was a couple things they probably could have tried to do or something, but you know that. Yeah, that it just the story ultimately doesn't really land, but I mean it doesn't matter. It's not really why you're there.
And I think that was the other thing is like I wish the character interactions were deeper. Like as far as like they have like the rapport conversations a la Fire Emblem, but they're very
blah. Yeah, they're very blah.
Like they're done in the overworld. There's no voice acting. There's no animation to it. It's just like, oh, that was cute. And it's like, but I like these characters. I want to see them like interact more.
Yeah, they don't. They tried, but yeah, if they ever made another one of these, I would really hope they'd go a little bit more in on stuff like that. But that would these are places to improve. But it overall, like again, I can't stress it enough. You're there for those tactics and doing that stuff.
And those tactics are phenomenal.
They're very good, very good.
I'm not going to say the hyperbolic thing I'm going to say, but it's in my back pocket for Game of the Year because I think it's still going to be the same. I think I'm going to feel this way by then too. Like after I've chewed on it for a while.
I could see it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know. Top Spin's coming out, Julian. We got we all got to set aside some things for that. So
that's right.
Well, I suppose that's that. Chill. I think it's time for the 311 minute.
Yeah, we're getting close to the end. We only got one last thing to do.
That's right.
After this.
That's absolutely right. I looked up a fact. This is the 311 fact for the 311 minute. Drummer Chad Sexton knows the difference between a goose and the character Goose from Top Gun. He knows.
That's good. Most people get tripped up by that.
Yeah, it's tricky, and he knows all about it. He's like, nope, that's a goose, and that's Goose.
Yes.
See? Very important. And that's been the 311 minute. Thank you. Chill. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, one last thing to do before we take off. We have a segment called Questions, Comments, and Concerns.
Okay.
You can send us your questions, comments, or concerns, and we will read them on the show.
You can hit us up on
Discord.
Is this like Ask Sherwin Williams, but not as confrontational?
Yes.
Okay.
Although, who knows?
Who knows? Who can say, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You can. There's a thread in Discord where you can go ask, or you can go there. You can email us. Again, the email address is thestageselectpod@gmail.com. This actually came from my work friend Kale in a Teams chat. So that if you know me personally, you can also send it that way.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Who you are.
Yeah.
And he says, if you could make a game that had influence on a TV show or vice versa, which do you think would be the most successful, and what genre/topic would you like to see? And he was thinking along the lines of a Quantum Break, right? Which had like a TV show, but also the game.
Okay.
And he goes on to say that I really think a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon style show that influenced expansions to a Dynasty Warriors franchise would be awesome. Anime stylized and new stuff updated every month-ish in the game to go with the weekly TV show.
Oh, okay.
I meant to bring this up when you were talking about Rise of the Ronin, so I'm glad he said it here. I was thinking about this the other day because you know how like Japan does this a lot, China does this a lot, where they'll take like stuff from history, but then they turn it into almost like mythological proportions with like stuff that obviously the people couldn't have humanly done and stuff like that, but it's cool, right?
Right.
America doesn't really have that, and I kind of wish we did. Like, what if Red Dead Redemption wasn't just like this slavish like recreation of the Old West, but it was like an anime, right? Like where you're doing like crazy shit, right? Or there's like like chupacabras that you're fighting and whatnot.
Unfortunately, a lot of American history is steeped in things that aren't great.
There's that too, but I was thinking about like, but
just a time period, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so you brought up Paul Bunyan earlier, right? Like, what if you just ran into fucking Paul Bunyan in a game that's set in the American past, right? Or let's go further back, right? Like, let's have like a really cool, over the top, stylized like game about Native American mythology.
Yeah,
that honors that, right? And definitely get like the correct people to write the game and advise on the game, but also just make it like over the top and badass, right? I think that'd be kind of neat.
I think what they should do is they should make more Chinese dating simulators, and then just have a show that I watch what's going on in between the bits that I get to choose. That's what I want.
That's actually not a bad idea. Like if you had like a reality show that was the TV show, but then you're also doing like the dating sim stuff. Why
not?
Yeah,
you could do it.
I could see that.
No, I don't.
My initial thought.
Yeah, I'm still trying to think. I'm stalling for time.
Oh, it's fine. I had one, and they kind of already did it and botched it, and I wish Brock was still here for this segment. But I was thinking about like, what if you made like a Silent Hill game that had like a TV component to it, but both were good.
I was gonna say, they have been trying that, and
because I think that's kind of what they were trying to do with that Silent Hill Ascension.
Yeah, that thing.
But good though. What if it was good
though? But what if it was good though? Yeah.
I think that could be pretty neat.
Yeah. That could be cool. There's a lot of different ways you could do this. So it has influence on a TV show.
Which is that's a little bit of a wrinkle because like, the Quantum Break example is like, well, no, I take that back because so one of the things about Quantum Break is that if you watch the TV components, there were bits where they were reflected by the game, right? So there would be things you would do in game that would then show up briefly in the show. And I want to say there might have been a little bit of like a quick timey thing or like a decision making part in the TV show that would then go back and influence the game story. I don't remember if it went both ways or not.
I imagine the way that you could do this, right, would be like you go and, but at the same time, I don't know. This is interesting and kind of tough. Because I imagine the way that you could do it is almost like you just mentioned. Like, you're gonna play the game, and a decision or something is gonna come up, and you're gonna make that decision, right? And then, depending on what decisions you've made, it now files off a checklist, and then we go to. I don't even know how you would do it, but maybe like, here's a QR code, go watch your episode of this show, or it's just somewhere, in the game or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then you go and you watch that episode of the television show that you just influenced. It'd be tough. That'd be really tough. I respect the hell out of Quantum Break for doing what they did. Like, that's
I love
very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting to try to do that. What would I really do though? What could kind of be interesting?
I just thought of one, but go ahead.
Go ahead. You go first. I demand it.
You could do something really cool with WWE.
That's almost similar to what I was thinking, where you could do it with WWE or just a wrestling thing in general.
Yeah.
Or I was even thinking like, you know what you could do? You could just do like a fighting game like that, where it was just like the story mode was just like, hey, you go watch this TV show, and then like, and we build to the tournament arc, and then you play the tournament arc, and then
they have it built out based on like who you lose to and stuff like that,
right?
Like, win against, like, yeah,
that'd
be pretty neat.
there's ways you could go about it. It'd be interesting. I don't think people would be into that because the fighting game community is weird and they're not there for story modes.
No,
I am, but I love how dumb a fighting game story mode is. I'm all about that shit. But yeah. That's a tough line to walk there, Kale. That's a tough line to walk because, man, like you get assholes like me that's like, I really have to sit here for like an hour now. Oh, come on. Like I don't.
Yeah, there's that too, right?
Yeah.
And in the case of Quantum Break, like it's also depending on your situation, it's a lot to download.
Yes.
Because originally it was streaming, but no, that's no longer the case. But you can still download it when you download the game. But it's a massive.
It's a massive download, and you run the risk of like, okay, well, we're gonna have this TV show because, like I said, I was like, well, you could put a QR code up, and that goes to a thing that streams it to you, or something.
So when it goes away,
but when that goes away,
big component of the game that's gone.
Yeah, that's a big thing that's gone. So then you have to add it to a download. Then people, man, and this is probably why nobody has done the Quantum Break thing after that. Is probably this exact reason. So
it's going to be a sad day because I can definitely see a scenario down the road where it's like, well, we don't have the Quantum Break TV show anymore. You can download the game, you can play the game, but this part is just gone because for whatever reason, right? Like we don't have the rights to the actor's likeness anymore, or like it was a limited deal, or Microsoft decided not to host it anymore, so it's just gone.
And then the solution will be piracy. Just go and download the fucking episodes from some weird server, and that's where you'll have it. And
hopefully, but
hopefully,
like,
exactly.
It really,
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It'll hopefully be the best solution. Is somebody's like, hey, it's okay, guys. I held on to it all. Here it is. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, it's gonna be. This is. Quantum Break was a hell of an idea, and there's a reason probably why we've shied away from it, but yeah. Interesting thing to bring up, though. I like it.
Yeah, I like it. Thank you, Kale. And thank you, listeners. I think that's a show.
Julian.
Yeah, I feel good about that, Justin.
That's good. I'm glad you feel good about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I should have said this. I feel good about this. That would have been more correct.
No.
We're here now.
No.
It's fine.
Did what you did.
Please give my sincere apologies to Sherwin Williams.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Aren't normally like that.
Don't worry about it. I don't think you got to worry about the Sherwin Williams tough boys showing up at your house or anything. It's okay. He speaks highly of you when he speaks. So
I'm not worried on for me. I'm kind of trying to protect Matt. Like
I did read ahead a little bit, and I was like, well, we'll see how this goes. But
he's an exexecutive producer patron, so like I would like him to live.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Possible.
That'd be nice. Yeah. I hope he'll be okay. But,
I mean, I want all of you to live.
I did overhear something about the color brown. I don't know what that was all about. He was just kept going on about brown. So yeah. Yeah. All right. Well.
Yep. Okay.
We did it.
We did it. Oh yes. Let's see. Justin, where can they find you?
Yeah. I'm at Tyrone_Swift on the internet. It's like Taylor Swift, but Tyrone. I don't know why I did it. It's just what I did. That's my Twitter handle. You can listen to This Is Video Games, a podcast where I played adult content video games. I'm Justin Ham and I played video games. I really should make more of it, but I just haven't. And that's me.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at Julian_Titus. You can find me on Blue Sky. Just look for Julian Titus. The show is on Twitter at Stage Select Pod. Special thanks to Brock Wilbur. Go find him wherever. And if you found, if you're listening to this because Brock was on the show, hope you enjoyed.
Yeah.
Tell your friends. The episode, the show is very different from episode to episode. That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Oh, real quick, that is one thing. Kale gave me I don't think he meant it this way, but he gave us the highest possible compliment that he could.
Yeah.
Which is that he was like, I can't really get my head like around the show because it doesn't sound anything like the other video game podcasts that I listen to.
That's good.
Like, that's
perfect. That's what
we're going for.
We're doing a good job then. That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah.
No shade against those other shows.
No,
it's just,
they're great.
You know,
I listen to a lot of those shows. It's just yeah.
We want to be able to talk about whatever we want, whenever we want, and also do dumb shit.
Yep. I need someplace to get my.
That's what this is.
I got to get these bits out somewhere.
That's right. All right. Special thanks to Megan McDuffie for our incredible theme song and interstitials. Special thanks to John Golson for being our show announcer and doing the logo and artwork. I've been Julian Titus. He's been Justin Ham. Special thanks to Brock Wilbur. We've been the Stage Select. Signing off.
The Stage Select is copyrighted and owned by Space Monkey Mafia Productions, specializing in independent podcasting. Please consider sharing the show with your friends and support us by joining our Patreon or donating to our coffee. Thank you, and good night.